Are you tired of the same old pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 4,000 hours of the best pro wrestling events from over 110 of the biggest names in the industry from over 15 countries around the globe. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rule. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans. That's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of One Nation Radio. And with me, I have our usual guest, Rich Latta. What's going on?
Not much, man. Just trying to stay away from this Rona.
Oh, man, the Rona. We'll get back to the Rona in a second. But today we have a special guest, Mike Sempervive of F4W Online. What's going on, Mike?
I'm here to bring the COVID-69. That's what I'm here for. So if you ladies are out there listening, you want to be infected by me, you just hook me up. Give me a call, and I'll slide into your DMs. It's been a while since I've been here. Now you know why.
See, how many times have you been on the show? How many times?
I think once, twice, whatever. It's probably been too many. We know that.
Yeah, like that. Like when we were in that bar in New York, that could have been 2 shows. But yeah, it's pretty much. It's pretty
legendary. Nice.
Yeah, I see that. Like conversating with you, listening to you almost every single day, and then like by conversating with you, it seems to me that like Brian keeps you on your best behavior.
The FCC does that. Brian actually puts me on some of my worst, but somehow I'm able to actually like harness it in. People are like, man, sometimes you seem to not be able to find the words when you're doing that show, and it's mostly because 1, I just woke up right before it started, and 2, when you want to curse but can't, that is a painful, helpless feeling that few really know.
We got to have you on there with the live censor, like Biggie when he would freestyle on the radio and he had to censor himself.
I can't censor myself, so I need that 7-second dump button, and I could really use one.
Oh, man. Yeah, so because of all the nonsense that's going on this week in wrestling and the world, honestly, I mean, so much has happened. But I think the most pressing issue right now is, as we all know, huge big deal. The J Electronica album dropped.
Oh my god!
After almost a decade, it's dropped. No, I'm not playing.
Crazy. I heard it. It's 12 remixes of Exhibit C. It really is.
That would be hilarious in this case. Is that true?
Exhibit lowercase c, Exhibit D. D, like in Spanish. Yeah, it's all that.
I listened to it and just thoroughly unimpressed, like with J Electronica. I quite frankly, I think we're dealing with like the hoodwinking and scam of a lifetime, like how his entire career is played out. I don't get it. I would, as far as I'm concerned,
don't follow the mathematics of it.
Correct.
So you haven't opened your mind to that yet. You haven't felt all the fruits of the earth yet to understand what's going on with harmonica, electronica, dramica, lamica, all that.
Like he might as well be rapping hieroglyphics Yeah, he might as well be rapping in hieroglyphics as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so my perspective on him is I fell off in rap and music in general in 2014. And then, but you heard the Exhibit C stuff, all the Exhibit songs or whatever else, showcases he was doing, and you heard some of the beats that Just Blaze had made for him or whatever. But I remember there was one verse that he had that was like, it was almost like that Kendrick Lamar Control verse where you heard it and you're just like, yo, this is like verse of the year. I can't remember what song it was so long ago. But I heard that, and then from there to hear that like it's coming, and it's like, oh yeah, is it coming the same way the Detox is coming? Yeah. And for her to drop the album, and then to hear people say like, it's Watch Your Throne 2, they love it, / Jay-Z buried him on all these verses or whatever else, or out-rapped him on verse or track after track. I don't know what to make of it. I don't really feel like going to listen to it, but the things for the people I trust is kind of like, either they like it or they don't, or they like it and like what they like about it isn't necessarily anything that much to do with Jay Electronica himself, which I find to be just like, wow.
I'm not really here for, everybody that's out here that's just pretending to like this album. Y'all don't have to do that. Why y'all? Just because you don't understand him don't mean that he's nice. A great man once said that.
Hey, I'm not going to judge it. I haven't heard it yet, but it's like, I don't want to say he's pigeonholed anyway, but like, who's going to be exposed and be excited that Jay Electronics is here that didn't know Exhibit C anyway? To everybody else, he's like a unicorn. It's like, okay, well, what have you done? Well, he's ghostwritten this, he's done that. It's like, okay, I can respect that. Now, I can respect Exhibit C. Everybody's got a hot song, but number one, Just Blaze. I don't know. This is like what they heard Eminem was doing. Got Just Blaze to do a bunch of beats for the Slaughterhouse album that didn't come out. And it's like, number one, no offense, but like, Just Blaze? Like, I don't know. I think of producers, and it's like, I don't know. I'm always thoroughly underimpressed with Just Blaze.
Really?
I honestly, I am. When you take some other people that he's not number one on my producers list. That's for sure. He's probably not number 7 on my producers list. Come up with a list. I don't know. He's on there. It's nothing against him.
I think it's a generational thing. I think that's what it comes down to.
That's possible. If you remember Marley Marl, like you ain't gonna like it, or what?
Yeah, because like people that are like people that are of my late 80s born age, like that are outside of their genre into New York rap at that time or whatever else, like Just Blaze is like maybe the best producer of the early 2000s, maybe, or mid 2000s, as far as like non-single rap. Like, he's not the person you go to for your, like, you go to Timbaland or even Kanye or Neptunes for that stuff. But like, if you want your track 7 or your track or your intro or your outro or anything aside from like your lead single, he's the dude that you're most likely to go to from just a rap perspective. But that's, I can see like if you're someone that's like Marley Marl or Pete Rock or I could see or Dre, of course. I can see how people have different tastes for that. I can see that.
Call me old is what you're doing, and I can understand that because you know why too. Also, the mid 10s is when I was swinging at the most air, frankly, during that time as well too. So I can actually understand. And actually, from the perspective of, you're not going to use him for your big burner, but right, you need to fill out the album. Yeah, actually, you know what? Looking at it in that way, yeah, that's a different perspective to look at it. Yeah, absolutely, I can agree with that.
Yeah, like he's definitely like the person you most likely you call for quality control. Like I remember, there's another people that like involved with the hype is like Saigon. Remember when like Saigon was getting like beats lifted off, like beats that were meant for him getting lifted off of him for like Mariah Carey projects and stuff like that. Is like that's kind of crazy. But then you hear the album and it's like these beats are incredible, or for me, my perspective anyway, like these beats are incredible, but like there's nothing that's gonna, quote unquote take over the radio, and like I don't even know if Saigon is meant for that. So and also the game changed, like, South took over and that was a wrap.
This is a legit question, even though it's way off topic. Like, has anyone seen Green Lantern? Like ever since he got the Exodus out, like hasn't he just I know he did like one track. I remember that like somebody did and he was on it, but then he just like it was like thin air. It's like ever since he kind of got shoved away by Eminem and all them, you ain't seen nothing.
Yeah, I can't say I really heard too much from the last thing I remember was like that Champ is here, that Jadakiss, I believe that he did long time ago.
Yeah, I mean it's really weird with producers because from my perspective, because I always wanted to be a producer, was like to me it seemed like the producer is more valuable than even the rapper when it comes down to, you want to rock the crowd, you need the beats. It is what it is. And obviously the MC comes into play, but I feel like they're more valuable. And especially because like I grew up around grew up on Cash Money. It's like, if there's no Manny Fresh, there ain't no Lil Wayne, there ain't no Juvenile, there ain't no BG, there ain't no Birdman, none of that shit. So, that's my perspective on it. So, it's always been weird to see like the cycle of how people like they'll have a couple years and then like they'll fade out, or if you're like special you'll have like a decade and then you'll eventually fade out, or you'll fade out and then you'll have a comeback type of thing. So it's weird to look at even the beginning of last decade, like the early 2010s, and you see like the people that were working on Drake stuff like Boy Wonder, T-Minus,
40.
40, and then you see like where they are now, and it's like T-Minus retired and came back.
Yeah, so it's like Wonder's still out doing a lot of stuff, but then I think what happened this last decade was everyone was able to like figure out the same style, really and just blend it because of the internet, yesterday I was talking to James yesterday, and I taught myself how to make one of those UK drill beats in like 40 minutes, and I've never made one in my life or whatever. So it's like everything became like easier to replicate, like with the producers, and it was harder for to stand out. And then when someone would take over, it'd be their time. Like when Metro and them came, nobody was talking about Lex Luger anymore, even though it's largely the same shit except without being aggressive. There was like that whole trap sound in the late 2000s off Drummer Boy. Then you get to Mustard, and then Mustard got his sound used up for the mid-tempo stuff, and then they went right back to like Boomin, Metro Boomin, and all this, South Side and 808 Mafia people. But I find it really, really, I think this really all comes down to with like music industry, because of streaming and whatever else, like every year after year, like genres have to close in upon themselves, and there's less production money, and now people aren't even making money off albums, they're making money off of their touring deal, and people, the 360 deals and everything else is like, all right, well, people are trying to recoup as much money as possible. Forget trying to get these samples cleared. And once you get rid of the sample game, then you have to go into, kind of like lo-fi and low instrumentation and low, musical. So you can mass produce.
Maybe, to an extent, yes, but I think it's easier for the average person to be able to make a beat now because, like, people aren't as musically, not necessarily musically talented because they're doing crazy things that involve the music, but like the restraints on your ability to go out here and go get a string section to go knock something out. It's like, nah, we can't do that. We're pressed for time. We don't have the budget to do that. We're just going to have to make lemonade out of lemons. And that's where we are with production. It's like, and then, let's not even get into the lyricism of rap, whatever else, because that's a whole nother thing. And like, quite honestly, like, we're past lyrics. Like we're in a post lyric world almost. Like, are you charismatic on the mic? Yes. Okay. We'll worry about everything else after that. And I think we have a lot of charismatic guys,
especially out of Buffalo. I mean,
they're like wrestling.
Well, because like Derringer's he's got a huge target on him because one, people already compare him to other people as it is anyway. Two, you're just this guy, whether it be Mike Will of the last couple of years, whoever it is the last couple of years, whoever you want to pick, like now you're that guy. So now what are you going to do? What's it going to sound like a year from now? What's it going to sound like 2 years from now? Odds are it's going to probably sound the exact same way it does now, the same way it did 2 years ago. but this is the hot wave. And I love Griselda. I love a lot of what they did. I also see limitations on what they do. I also see limitations on what they are right now, and how are you going to move this whole thing forward?
Like, do you think it's too regional?
I don't think it's too regional, no, because I think, I'm not saying they brought New York back, because then that would be insulting to somebody from New York, and I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to say they brought back a feel that New York didn't have. They brought a swagger that was unfamiliar. They punched the hole through, and now you're here. And that's awesome. That's great. I have never heard, have you ever heard West Side Gun freestyle? Probably not. And he makes it very clear that, no, that's not what he does. And because there's reasons probably that's not what he does. You know what I'm saying? He's got some other people on his shoulders that probably help him out a little bit. I'm not going to criticize that or anything like that. But it's like, okay, there, Cape Conway got his, Benny got his. And then you see Tone Atlas. You see, your old Droog has been more of a producer. But, if you want to associate him with, it's like, what else is now happening? How are you moving your stuff forward? And it's like, man, you got a bunch of new jewelry, the next Hermes album and all this and all that. And it's like, okay, I wonder what's next, because right now they are the thing and they are sitting on top right now, but it's heavy as the head. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, what's the whole crew going to do moving forward? Because they are it right now. I'm not sure who else is. I may be missing somebody, but they still seem to be, the swinging dicks, but it's been now 3 years. It's been a while now, and it's like, okay, where are we at here? Because are we ready to move on, or what's going to come next?
Yeah, the thing that
unless I've missed it completely, we've already moved on.
From
which is possible.
From that perspective, I don't think so, but I also see them, at some of these wrestling shows, they seem like they're having a blast. So I don't know.
Yeah, what's the motivation? How motivated are you going to stay? And I hope they are. They spread out. They've got a little money, a little bit of a deal with everybody. They've kept their, all of the Griselda stuff. So it's like, I'll say this from a business point of view, they've certainly circled the wagons well, and they've dipped out into a bunch of other places well. But again, what comes next? Megan in a different way is another one. Okay. You've done your shtick now. You've done your gimmick. Now, can you expand these lyrics? Well, I guess, can you get out of your deal, number one?
Yeah, that's the main thing.
But then, what comes
She's not getting out of that. She signed a 4-album deal. She's like Carl Crawford. That story is really complicated. And it's like, part of it is like, damn, I wish somebody would have smartened her up to the game. But then you realize, hey, that's kind of what the game is if you're trying to get out here.
Yeah. And another thing with Carl Crawford is, I haven't really followed it closely aside from when, I saw that she wants out. But from my perspective, from the little I've heard is they're kind of, because given, if you're just going to, outside of obviously the music corporation is completely over leverages their ability, their money making ability compared to what the artist makes. So that's just rip the whole industry. But that's obviously not going to happen. But working on the restraints that we have, it kind of feels like there really is not that really much of a bad guy between Carl Crawford or Megan or all the other players involved, because Carl Crawford was new to this shit too.
Yeah.
I just blame Leor Cohen for everything. If I can't figure it out, it's Leor and his big ass head's fault.
Yeah,
and maybe from a creative point of view, it's okay. Well, now you've kind of laid it out. Now you can become Kim or worse, Foxy, real easy. Or do you want to become Latifah? Can you actually move your shit forward? You're actually smart enough, and that's the other thing too. I think there are people that have defended her to the hilt on everything, who are defending her on this Crawford thing, and it's well. There are lawyers here. There's a deal you needed to sign. Nobody did know who you were. So it's it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other here. You may have not signed the best deal, but it's when you take all of the credit for how smart and how creatively that they marketed you and how well your steps were laid out and how well you handled everything. Give her credit for that. How her poise standing up in there was thrown into any situation, no matter what the interview was, no matter what it was. But okay. You also need to take the heat for when you screw up. You just have to eat it and keep it moving. And how are you going to stay relevant? How can you play both sides how can you get yours over Carl Crawford? You just have to be creative with it because everybody has a bad deal. How are you gonna survive it and move on from it?
Everyone does it.
She better holler at Drake.
Because
we know somebody that's been signed to multiple people and still got to pop behind the scenes is him.
Well, if you're saying Drake and you're gonna make those claims, does that mean that she needs to holler at Drake, or does she need to go holler at Jay Prince?
I think she's on she's on the. I think she's on the opposite side of Jay Prince in this whole deal or whatever. That's
Crawford's got Prince, and he's been backed by. Because nothing. Nothing moves without Jay Prince. So
if Jay Prince is okay with where she's at, then she's gonna stay where she's at. I have a pretty good idea that if that's where he wants her to be, that's where she will be. It sounds like a wrap. If that's the case, I did not know that, but now that I do, it sounds like it's a wrap.
Well, either that, he's going to grift his skin and graft it right onto her in some sort of way. I mean, it's not going to happen. If that deal blows up, Carl Crawford, I think, was going to be okay. There'll be some kiss on the back end of this, but it's not going to move unless he does something.
Yeah, I mean, and if something happens that ultimately would. If, she wants to be the star that I think she wants to be, that might end up being for the best. Will she make as much money as, ultimately she thinks she could if she would be a free agent right now? Of course not. But, Jay Prince has a way of making the people that are that he wants to be, big stars in the industry. He keeps them around for a long time, regardless of the level of quality of their music or whatever else. They've figured it out from that perspective, especially out of Texas. But, this is a wrestling podcast, all right?
Yeah.
The whole world is wrestling. This conversation, all those people we just talked about, all wrestling right there.
Yeah. They're all running gimmicks. That's true. I originally made the joke and it ended up going way long, but coronavirus all around the world, like global health scare, people sick, people dying. Right now we're trying to, we're in a situation where I feel like we've been ill prepared as a country for this, compared to, say Japan, where they seem to be, what is the term for it? To be able to, social distancing to be able to keep, the hospitals from being overran. What is it called?
I think that's it.
Well, I just explained what it is, but I forgot the term for it. Anyway, we're not doing a good job with that, and it seems like, this thing could go over longer than we expect, but, right now, if we were to still be positive, let's say this is going to be a 3-month thing, this is going to really affect American wrestling. We've already seen it with SmackDown being ran in the Performance Center, people having to get on planes to go to the Performance Center. What are your thoughts been so far this week, heading into this almost seemingly like from Wednesday on, Mike?
It's been surreal. I mean, this has been absolutely surreal. It's not real. I mean, with it breaking in China, it's like, okay, we got another, mad cow disease sort of kind of situation, okay. And then it spreads to Japan, and there was the whole deal with the cruise liner. And that's one thing. I mean, Japan came around to it better, but if you ask some people in Japan on what they thought of their government, they screwed it up royally. Maybe not to the level of maybe some people the way they think we have, because we were looking the other way while they were suffering. But South Korea came next, and it was just it's been brutal. And Italy, Iran, where it's really hit hard. Italy was amazing, because it was mostly around Milan, and it was mostly in the northern end. And I don't know I don't think that they reported on that. There was such a look towards Asia that I don't think the American press really drove home what was happening in Europe and what was happening in Italy, especially, and in Germany and some other places as well, but Italy being the standout. And I think that probably would have drove home the point, I think, more to people here if they probably would have looked, short east instead of far east, because it's like, this is, whether people like it or not, it's more relevant to a lot of people. It's more tangible to a lot of people when it's, news is coming out of the UK, Germany, Italy, or the European, market as opposed to the Asian market. And, that didn't get driven home, on top of the fact that our government did what they did about it, and everybody kind of dragged their feet on it and wanted to play politics with it. And then it just explodes even more. And, really Tuesday, it did drive everything home. I guess that was the night everything kind of started to fall with Rudy Gobert. Gobert testing positive, and I'm trying to think of what else happened. I guess it was baseball, or I can't remember what happened that day, but
I think it was Wednesday.
Well, it was either Tuesday or Wednesday, but basically, you had Gobert, and you also had, before that, the NCAA was going to do empty arena March Madness games.
That's what it was. Yeah. That's right. It was the empty arena matches were beginning, and it was like, damn, okay, now this is going to be tangible to a lot of people because it's effing up my sports. The only people that were happy hearing about the NCAA tournament were people like my woman and everybody else who usually watches Young and the Restless and Bold and Beautiful. They didn't have to worry about it being preempted anymore, So it's like, they go and they make these moves, and then now finally it really kind of dawned on people, and then you got the panic. And I'm in Southern Delaware. I have relocated here, been down here now for 20 years. Love this beach. You know what I'm saying? But there was one case, I think, initially when this broke, and it was up in Newcastle or Wilmington, which is essentially a Philadelphia suburb. And that was a professor that they could directly track, went somewhere and shook hands with somebody. And it's like, okay, there's been one. I went to the store. And I heard everybody talking about people are tripping, and there's no toilet paper, there's no this, there's no that. I went, there's no damn toilet paper. If you have lost your goddamn ever-loving minds, there's no toilet paper. It's like, I'm thinking, this is a virus, this is a flu. You're not getting diarrhea, you're getting sick, and you look on the shelves, cold medicine for days, Kleenex for days. There's wipes, there's this, there's that, and it's like, wait a second. I'm in an area, number one, where nothing is happening anyway, and you've taken all the toilet paper, yet you've left the Dayquil. This is something I don't understand, but it's like, this is where we're at. And it's gotten more surreal by the day with more things falling. My son's school has been cut, so now he's in for 2 weeks, and it's like, we're just starting the tip of this weird thing where, outside in most places, you're going to be just fine. But it's like this new move to you're locked in your homes. This is, we're soon to get holograms because we're just becoming further and further prisoners to our own homes. And I think the reaction to this and the reaction to people going out acting the way they're acting, I mean, there's pros and cons to everything. There's a silver lining to everything. There's hay you can make out of anything. There's lemonade you can make out of any lemon. But for the short term on this, oh God, it's just been it's been pathetic.
Yeah, and it's only going to get worse until I hate to say this, it's only going to get worse until the numbers go down, and it seems like that's a 3-month proposition, and then people will relax, but. Or maybe enough of the crazies get their toilet paper so let the rest of us kind of behave in a normal pattern, but
Well, what was SARS? What was SARS? 6 months? I mean, and then was pretty much dead and buried by July?
Right? Yeah, and I think this one closely looks like kind of has similarities to SARS or whatever. Yeah. The crazy part about SARS is I barely remember anything happening or making any kind of change in my life when that happened. It is now it's I'm not want to say scared to death, but it's oh yeah, you guys need a social distance. Well, luckily, I've been kind of doing that for the last decade. Socially distance. It sounds like music to my ears. So,
there was hook up with you. I don't want to get this COVID. You know what I'm saying? I gotta hang back. You just.
There was one show, James, I believe it was last year, that was telling everybody wash your ass.
Oh,
there was one show, when we found out people wasn't washing their legs, and
yeah.
Wait, excuse me?
Yes, you didn't see this towards the end of, or actually the middle of last year.
No.
It was this huge discussion on Twitter where it blew up about
people are too fat to bend over and get them calves?
No. it seemed to be that like a large subset of white people did not realize that you need to also wash your legs in the shower. So then it blew up, and then it turned to a thing about hygiene, and then certain people took it to talk about like certain different other things that I think is just like I don't really care about that, but it's like y'all not washing y'all legs, y'all not washing your feet. And I think the main thing was that there was Taylor Swift was on Ellen and then talked about that, and Taylor was like, well, I don't wash my legs, but I shave my legs in the shower, so that's good, right? And then Ellen like shook her head and was like, yeah, that's good enough. And I was like, no, Ellen, you need to tell the truth to these people, Ellen. They tune in because they love you, respect you, and believe in you, Ellen. Don't let people down, Ellen. So then I went on some huge rant about y'all don't wash y'all ass, and I would start yelling, wash your ass, with something that lathers something that lathers and exfoliates. Don't just use the bar. I know some of y'all out here just using the bar. Y'all need to get the soot off y'all skin, and then I went on some rant about people need to brush their teeth. Those are wrestling fans. People hear about this all the time about our hygiene. I need to brush your teeth, brush your tongue, brush under your tongue, brush the roof of your mouth, and then use mouthwash every day, and also floss. And I went on some huge, it went like a 7-minute rant or whatever else, but ended up going on our best of One Nation Radio 2019 thing. But
so that was like the slogan for like a couple weeks. One Nation Radio, wash your ass.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, for honkies everywhere, I apologize.
Oh man.
I mean, I got the soap, I got a washcloth, I got clean legs because I wash my legs in the shower because I was raised better than this. And also, by the way, not only wash your feet, occasionally you got to get in there and get somebody to wash that tub, because if you're just sitting there in a bunch of mold and funkiness anyway, sitting there like you're getting athlete's foot in the locker room because that's how nasty your shower is, if you wash your feet and then step back into that, it's pretty much the same thing. Then you gotta dry them too. Don't leave them stinking before you get in the socks.
So 2020 is pros. So 2020 is One Nation Radio. Wash your tub. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that works too. Tub, clean, just everything. This is what this virus does. You bunch of just sorry. This is the other thing with this virus too. And I know we're too long on this damn virus, but this is look. It takes this type of thing for people to remember to wash your goddamn hands, and to remember that even if you wash your hands, if you then take that said hand and put it on a doorknob that you don't clean because that's somebody else's job or whatever it is, because you're too lazy to put a Clorox wipe on it, like, you're not helping.
Right.
Like, do everything. And also, this is not 1950 fucking 2 in Korea and somebody else has moved away and is doing all the stuff and you're here working and you got to go to work regardless of anything and you're sick and you're tired and all this and we got to do it because, this is what we do as men. No, stay home, stupid. We are way past this. If you're sick, don't make everybody else sick along with you, okay? I get 40 hours of sick time. Most people at least get that. That's their fault if they got their taxes back and want to go spend that and take a long vacation and say they were sick. That's their problem. But I'm saying you don't do that, Mr. Responsible. Stay home. You're so workmanlike. Try to figure out something you can do there and don't infect the rest of us, dummy.
Yeah.
Noted.
Yes, I think we need to have Mike more often to talk about like public safety and health, and also scrubbing their tubs, scrubbing their ass.
I'll be the ombudsman for white people. If this is what you need, this is obviously needed for everybody because, again, the community, I can't imagine what the collective would be like. Some of the conversations that were going to take place down there, and you'd all be right. Everybody just sitting there, like, let me tell you about this, and you'd be right, and we can't say shit. We just have to sit on the outside. And some people will get mad, but most of us, we know, as they sit back there, they're just listening, and they're scratching the hair on their necks because they got that big, long neck beard, and they're smelling themselves right now and looking around. Yeah, you know who you are. That's all right. I'm here for you. I'm going to try to help you on behalf of the people. I'm going to help us bring us together. They don't let me do this on Observer. They don't.
No rules.
You ain't going to hear Jim Valley talk about this.
Oh, speaking of Jim, I talked to Jim on Twitter last year, like in September. Yeah, September. So Jim, I know we talked about starting in New York, but we were, they have their G1, it's called the Grand Prix, 5-star Grand Prix. So their shows come out on delay. Now, me as a person that's on Twitter, I make sure to block a million things on Twitter because I follow Stardom. And I've had a long black list. And I forgot, I guess I apparently made the mistake of forgetting that Jim once did that New York show commentary with Fumi. So, right before I go to turn on the Grand Prix final to watch it, I go to Twitter and the first thing that Jim posts is, Hana Kimura has won the G1. I almost threw my fucking phone, Mike. I was so mad. But he ain't do nothing wrong. He's like, look, man, like, it's my fault for having my ass on Twitter. It's, you know, that's what you get. But I was at the time, I was like, I've watched this whole entire tournament unspoiled. I've watched, what was it at that point? Before that final night, it had been something like 60-something matches that I'd already watched. Unspoiled. No one cares about this Japanese woman promotion over here. I'm fine. I'm good. Get to the last day he posted, I was like, damn, he got me. I was 38 hot for like an hour. So yeah, like, I appreciate Jim. I appreciate the fact that he how much he loves Kagetsu, who just retired. But at that time, I was just like, I was like, damn you, Jim Valley. And it's funny because Jim is like the nicest person in the world.
He's all right, but he's that's you gotta take that Adam Summers approach. Adam goes into a damn cave. Like, if Adam doesn't want to be spoiled by something, like, he will not be spoiled by it, but he will go through the greatest of lengths. If there's a billboard that he's passing on his way driving to Chicago or wherever he's working now, I can't even remember anymore, but like, he will take an entire different route. Like, he will recalculate his route to like whatever it is and like have no radio on, or like will block out a piece of the sun. I mean, he will go through any length. It's like, and then like warn all of us like angrily, like, I haven't seen like the day, whatever it is of the G1. Don't, like a whole long list of like, don't spoil me, or like, the whole world's going to come to an end. Like, he will not won't do a damn thing. And it's like, that's about the only thing you can do. And it's really harder than ever. I mean, with it popping up on your phone, on your watch, on, a text, if you have
push notifications.
Yeah, your notifications on where you get the banner. And it's like, I've had shit spoiled that way, where it's like, ESPN Streak for the Cash has spoiled me on something I'm watching on a little bit of delay. You know what I mean? It's like you got the DVR, so you get that automatic delay of 30 seconds or whatever when you're recording something. And it's like, God damn it. And it's a pain. And it's almost like, you got to look at your events the same way like boxing. Like, if you were broke in the 80s and couldn't afford pay-per-view or couldn't make it out, but like, so you would hear the result of the fight. If you didn't have HBO or pay-per-view, like, but you had to stay involved and hyped up and really want to see it. And it's just one of those things that, like, spoilers are that's what you got to live with now. Because instantly, as soon as it's over, everybody's going to know everything, or at least enough to get the word out there. So it's like the music between the notes is going, to me matters. Like, I can know the result, but not know from an Okada match or an Omega match or a Tanahashi match, like, okay, what did I miss? What did I see? And unfortunately, you don't have that danger in WWE, which is one of the reasons why it's so easy to miss. One, they make it so easy for you to, they put all their stuff out there in short clip form anyway, so you can miss shows easy and still stay caught up and not miss a damn thing in the middle. And as that's going on, it's like, the formula of everything that they do. So it's like, even if you just hear the results, you can kind of, depending on what part of the month or the year it is, you pretty much know which direction that they're going, and you pretty much know how things are going to lay out at the end. Yeah.
So perfect example of this is recently. So one of our homeboys, Simon, and Rich also wanted to take a victory lap on me yesterday, because the second that The Fiend came out and pointed at the sign in front of Cena, they were like, they're going to make this be about the match, their feud from 2014. And I was like, yeah, y'all probably right, but don't shit on it. Just wait a week until they finally do. I said I agree with them. Just wait until they do it and then shit on them. They saw those promos from the past few weeks, and they've been dunking on me ever since. And I'm like, y'all are assholes. I agree with you and told you that's what they want to do. All I said was wait. And they still were like, nah, you're just as wrong as everyone else, James. All right, fine. Fine. Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. This WrestleMania builds like. I guess we should start on the Wednesday shows because that was probably like like what has been your overall feel for the Wednesday shows, Mike? With like pretty much since the first of the year.
AEW's had a great year. I mean, I think they've taken all the mistakes that they had, because you remember how last year closed was the Dark Order that was beating down the locker room. You had Michael Nakazawa getting messed with. You had people running up on Riho yelling, even if it had nothing to do with her. It was like, we're going to have a small Japanese girl cower here as somebody screams about something next to her. We had Dr. Luther and the whole thing with the Nightmare Collective. You had one slip up after another, and their big stuff was great. Like Moxley and Jericho was fine. Cody, whatever Cody does, I mean, he's his daddy right now. He's riding high. Like everything pretty much that he touches, in my opinion, it's on time, or at least it's certainly not an embarrassment. They had some things humming, but the problem was their negative was outweighing their positive. And that's how the year starts. And from there, they knew what they needed to do. They threw up a white flag on the Nightmare Collective, just said, hey, we fucked up. We're going to dust our hands off now and keep it going. And that's what they did.
Sorry, Mel.
Yeah, it's like, the Nightmare Collective, they disappear off TV. They're trying to reformulate them. Brandy's back with Cody. All's right in the world. The Dark Order, that is hitting rock bottom. What are we doing here? Well, they introduced Christopher Daniels. They kind of utilize him, play with him a little bit in his past, and they kind of got that ship right. They stopped making it with the goofy commercials and this, that, and the third. And they've, it's still, it's borderline. I mean, this thing could shit the bed, just as easy as it did to start. But
yeah.
They got Matt Hardy. I mean, there's aspects that now they can throw into this that you can make some hay out of it. And the thing is, we don't know too with Matt Hardy. I mean, they can instantly turn into a mid-card, long-running act, or you never know. This could prop them up into the main event, feed, world title-wise, tag title-wise. I don't think it will, at least not right away. But you have that opportunity now that you didn't have at the end of the year. And so all of that stuff is clicking, Sammy Guevara, the young guys, so right now they're riding high. Does that mean NXT is not doing good stuff? No, NXT is doing good stuff, but there's no danger to that show unless you're talking about a move that might kill Adam Cole or Johnny Gargano. Again, that's kind of awesome, but it's like, they turned into a really slick version of ROH from a couple years ago where they, you can't really bang on the work at all, but there's a personality and there's a spirit and there's something that's missing, and they're missing that. And unfortunately, AEW's got it in spades, and they're not as slick, they're not as fresh, they're not as whatever, but they're also not as predictable. If Morrow says this, that Nigel's going to come behind him with this. And then Beth is going to add this. And it's like, this, rinse, wash, repeat. It's like, how it's going to sound. That when this person talks about what they're going to do, it's not the athlete's fault. It's not the performer's fault. It's the structure and what they're working underneath. And it's not all negative because, again, when times are rough, like you see what they were able to pull off the Performance Center, they can pull things off that other people can't. It's just the creative part of it, the thing that you should be piqued by, and get your interest up and your dander up with, that's missing. And AEW has that unpredictability factor that NXT just doesn't.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think the thing with NXT right now is I think you can draw their 2019 into like a line in the sand. You can basically draw it from the last night of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. Like after that, just their matches on TV aren't up to snuff with what was happening. Like with that, for example, that Mark Andrews and Flash Merger Webster versus Broserweights match. Like we haven't really gotten one of those on TV since then, and a lot of that is because they had to do hot shotting to get to Worlds Collide, and then they had to, also hot shot to get themselves to Portland, and then like you look at the residual effects of what's happened to Bianca with the Charlotte thing and Rhea thing, and you look at like this was a decision. This is their choice. This isn't a byproduct of them hotshotting. But you look at their decision to go full throttle, like with Velveteen coming back to go to Adam Cole as opposed to picking someone else, and how bad in the ring Velveteen has been since he's been back. Quite frankly, like he's somebody that needs rust knocked off him, not someone that needs to be in a title match at the quote unquote WrestleMania takeover, if that even happens anytime soon. Like, this pandemic seems to have popped up at the right time for Velveteen, because they were going to go out there and it was not going to be up to snuff with this Ciampa Gargano thing that's probably going to main event.
Yeah, and like I think like with the Velveteen thing, like never, I think I said on the show last week, like never have I, reluctantly wanted to take a victory lap. I was like, it's gonna be Dreaming Cole, but he's completely uninspiring as a babyface, as is Ciampa, in my opinion. But I watched their brawl with him and Gargano this week. First time I watched NXT in like ages, but it's like, wow. Everything Johnny Gargano says about Tommaso Ciampa is right. This guy's a piece of shit. Like, why? Like, literally, it was time that healed everything. Okay, but so is Johnny. Like, they're both terrible people.
But the thing about that part that makes no sense for me is like, okay, so why do y'all tag team against Seven and Bait at Worlds Collide then?
Yeah, it's
like we were supposed to just forget that part, right? Sorry, say again, Mike.
Nobody ever calls back to it, and that's what the announcer should be for. That's where, even if you only do it once, like if you go back and you watch really old wrestling, like they'll have a turn like this or something will happen. Well, they will have to go, well, what changed since the last time you were here? And then there's at least an excuse, or the announcer will bring it up and at least patch it up, and then you move on. With WWE, it's like most of their stuff where it's like,
never mind,
we're just moving on. Yeah, this plot hole, whether it be Mandy and Otis, or or you pick the storyline. Where is Edge's neck brace? Where is the update? Like, and again, was like maybe in the grand scheme of things, nobody cares about that. But WWE, this is the mentality they had because that's how they built it. You won't care about that because we said so. We're moving on now. Right. And it doesn't work like that. And when people are given the option and the choice of having this explained and laid out, or having the fantasy book on their own, and then disappointing themselves because their fantasy booking and their actual booking don't meet up, and yours is you feel better. Yep. This is one of the big problems that they have.
Yeah,
and sometimes when they explain like the reasons for doing stuff, like Roman Reigns' promo for Goldberg Friday,
what was that?
It's just like, man, he's like his main point was like Cole said, hey, some people are saying like there are critics out there that you don't deserve to be in the main event like of WrestleMania and things like that. And Roman's main point of contention was, if I can main event in Youngstown, Ohio, in front of 5,000 people in a small town every day of the year, why can't I main event WrestleMania? I'm like, man,
because on TV you fucking lose because you have a locker room, because you have a locker room feud with a heel, and they talk about you being the leader of the locker room, and then lo and behold, you get your ass whooped after Humpty Dumpty and all the King's men come out there and whoop your ass, and nobody comes out to help you until after you already lose the match, and then your cousins show up. That's why, Roman.
Yeah,
like,
and then taking it out of storyline, it's like, well, look what they've done with him all year. Like, they've colossally blown him all year, handcuffing him to Corbin for 5 months so people wouldn't dare think about booing Roman Reigns. Instead, all you're doing is getting him more under, rather than pairing him off with Andrade or Nakamura or somebody that was on the brand at the time, running like completely away from Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan, which was right there. Yeah. And then they do all these things, and it's like, well, is Roman Reigns hot right now? No. And then he loses the Royal Rumble, and then they just decide there's no Elimination Chamber all of a sudden after advertising it. And it's like there's just so many holes in this story, and you look up and down the promotion. That's the story of the promotion. There are holes everywhere.
Yeah, but like I would say in NXT, the one I pointed out is like the only one that really is the only one that's really there that's not of Vince is doing with machinations of sending people up and down to NXT ever since November. But if you go to the main roster, yeah, SmackDown, I'll watch a Raw because like I know at some point I'm going to get something good between Ray and every other luchador or basically flat out Mexican wrestler, and then whatever Aleister Black's doing. But SmackDown, like, where do you go to get it? Except for like right now the Drew Gulak and Daniel Bryan thing that's going on right now. I believe the Mandy and Otis stuff. I enjoyed that. I enjoy it. But from what I see of it, but it's turned into this, and we knew it was going to turn into something like this. And it's like now instead of it just being one quick thing, and now this next chapter, now they're just like, we don't know what's going to happen because there's all this miscommunication, and like it's just another one of those things where like they're booking by the seat of their pants every single week, and it's like they're not remembering what they've done.
It feels like they're laying stuff out weeks and weeks and weeks in advance, and it's going to be interesting to see how AEW gets thrown off with this coronavirus stuff now, if anything changes, because I believe the War Games match is getting moved. There's a lot going there, but we kind of hinted around it, Mike. I kind of wanted to ask you about your thoughts on Charlotte Flair.
Oh God, here we go.
Like now, I have watched. I was watching the Royal Rumble earlier this year. Charlotte won the Royal Rumble, as everyone knows, and she set up the program with Rhea Ripley. Of course, Bianca Belair was, collateral damage between both of them. Like she was basically the setup person for both of them, and of course, I don't help me understand this, Mike. Charlotte has historically meant nothing for business. Based off the last year or so, she had an awful year in the ring. Are the promises this strong? Like whatever promises were made to Charlotte, where she couldn't win the Royal Rumble last year, so she had to win it this year to get this thing going with Rhea Ripley. And it's just like, it feels so, for lack thereof a better word, shoehorned again. And it seems like she's poisoning the well by association. Because Rhea Ripley's now acting like she's the challenger in this when she's the champion. It's all kind of weird on that end.
NXT is not a world championship brand. I mean, they've flat said that it's not to the level. It's still, that's a step you take to get here, and that's one of the problems. The second problem, and there's a lot of problems, I guess, depending on how you want to look at it. First of all, they could have made hay out of Bianca. I mean, that's just a fact. Now they go, and they should never have made that match when they did. They should have just let it go with Charlotte alluding to it, hinting to it. Maybe I do go back down to Florida. Maybe I do take a vacation. I mean, there's ways you could have played it where it would have made it obvious that's who she was choosing, and everybody could look at it and know that everything was going to be all white, and know that Rhea was going to get the win, but you could have at least added some drama to it. Right. What they see in Rhea. And to me, hopefully there are people there that see it with Bianca as well too, but with how you moved on the SmackDown title, it's like you could have had Charlotte interfere in that match and had Bianca lose that way, then set up Charlotte and Bianca, or do something where, again, Bianca to me should have been in there with Naomi for the SmackDown Women's title. That should have been their WrestleMania match, and I thought you could make a move to do that because I think you need. I don't know how long she's going to stay in NXT, but she is one of the people that, more than a Gargano or a Ciampa, I look at her, I look at Keith Lee and go, okay, they're more up. I can see Vince doing more with them, maybe not well, but I can see him taking an interest in them where some other people maybe that he doesn't. And I think that there's a lot you could do there. Now, that's obviously not in the cards, and maybe that's because Montez Ford, again, you don't want her to lose at WrestleMania if she's got something on the ball. You got Montez is over on Raw, so there's a lot of reasons why that wouldn't work, but there was a better way to go about setting that match up, which already caused some people to have some resentment, overall to the match or to Charlotte. Charlotte, and we saw it this week, when she cuts that promo and she's got nothing to say, it doesn't help anything.
And they were telling her to go back to Raw. Like, you know how terrible you have to be as a main roster person, like, and terribly regarded, like, for them to tell you, that crowd to tell you to leave, like,
so you go away. And look, she is really, I like her a lot. I like, again, she's Charlotte. There's a lot there that you can market, use, utilize, all that sort of stuff. But she has been, like James said, she's shoehorned. They shoehorn everything and beat you over the head with. I mean, it's like, go back to the Reigns thing, like you were talking about on SmackDown. There's no reason to bring up anybody saying, well, Roman, some people don't think you belong in the main event. If you look at fucking SmackDown's roster, who belongs in the main event? Nope, there's 3 people. If the other 2 are wrestling each other, that leaves Roman. So it's like, I mean, it's just they call back on things that don't matter and just end up hurting their cause even more. And I just don't think, by positioning Rhea as the wide-eyed, I wanted to be Charlotte when I grew up sort of thing, and positioning the title below, I mean, I know what they're trying to do, but much like a lot of what they do, I can look at it and go, I see what they're thinking. It's just the execution's not working. And at the end, they're probably going to be executed for it and then blame us. And it's like, no, this isn't the way you want this thing to be. Now, once they get in the ring, I think, again, this is a big stage, and Charlotte, I mean, I think when they do a formula match and they have time to practice it, for the most part, the women have done really, really well historically. I think they're going to end up doing that here. But I think, like a lot on WrestleMania, once it happens in execution on the show, I think it's going to be pretty good, at least the main stuff. But everything that leads up to it, what comes after it, the stock of the performer going in and out, for 7 hours, or however long, X amount of time that their match goes, it's probably going to hum. But everything else around this, it's like, again, these problems are self-caused and they just keep running in the same circle.
Yeah, sometimes when this stuff happens with Charlotte and all the stuff around Charlotte lately, like I think back to my initial thought once they had Becky come out the night after SummerSlam 2018 and cut that I'm distancing myself from the fans promo, like, it makes you think, like, oh my god, they're going to ruin Charlotte Flair the same way they ruined Roman Reigns, except they're now coming to it, and it's been like watching the Titanic, like, basically come upon the iceberg, and you're just like, steer, move left, move right, stop, go reverse, whatever you can. You are keep putting yourself in this position. And whether it was last year with they just gave her that title reign out of nowhere to make it a double title match for the triple threat match, from her insertion into the thing that most of the fans did not want, to her just being attached to Becky no matter what for the last year and a half, to now this, to where, like, she wins the Rumble to the detriment of Shayna Baszler, who is now, like, the challenger for the actual top star. Like, it's just like,
God, I forgot.
It's like there's no business, like she's not popping like quarter hours. She's negligible on merch. When's the last time you ever seen a Charlotte merch shirt? It's just like,
do it with Flair. It's still that one. Like, that's the
one from 2014.
Yeah, for somebody that is a star and is the face of everything. Yeah, I mean, you can call that out. That's no problem. And the Royal Rumble is a great thing to call out too, because it would have been one thing if you got Shayna out of there in a different way to set up, because I get she, in some ways, in Vince's world, and because they didn't plan well, she needs some time to heat up. I mean, I'm not saying she's the Greg the Hammer Valentine of performers, but like of personalities, but like, you need to introduce her, lay it out, because cage fighter is one thing, Ronda's friend is one thing, whatever, but like, she needs some time to marinate, and they didn't do that. They haven't done that with anything. Everything's been fly by the seat of their pants. So if you're going to do that, what are you going to do at Royal Rumble to have her hit hard? They didn't. They didn't. And then they go give Charlotte the win, and it's like, I get why they did that, so you can choose Rhea Ripley, but like, if you were going to do that, there was a way to make Shayna look stronger, look better, set her up more directly with Becky, where you could have served all interests better, and they didn't serve either one better. They've only been hurt, and I don't think Shayna's bite going out there has helped Becky. I don't think Vince, I mean, again, even if things were humming, I look at Shayna, I listen to Shayna, and I go, I don't think Vince has got this kind of patience. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what he sees when he sees her, but I bet you it's not Charlotte. And that's, it's not Becky. And that's that's the biggest thing. So we'll have to see kind of going on and how, what it ends up being with all of these women, with Sasha and Bayley. What are they going to do with them? Are they setting up their split for Mania? Is this something that's going to be, well, cause is this something now too? Because if they move this to June 7th or whatever date that this thing ends up moving to, if possible, whatever it ends up being, if it's postponed, and it will be postponed. When that happens, is it a benefit? Because it's like, how do you continue on the storylines? Edge and Orton can kind of hurt each other and be out for a while. Goldberg and Lesnar don't show up anyway. So it's like you start looking at some of the other stuff where everybody's always in the mix, and it's like, well, now do you lead to Bayley and Sasha to try to make some hay out of the SmackDown Women's Championship? Because you had at least, before this past Friday night, you had Sasha eyeing up Bayley's title. We're such best friends, and Sasha won't take her eyes off the title. Did that mean anything? Did that just kind of happen that way? Am I reading too much into it? I don't know, but I know they don't have anything going on. So unless you're going to do a 6-woman scramble for the 9 millionth time, or whatever it's going to be, where everybody hits their move, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so maybe this could be a benefit, but we'll see. And even if it is, we've seen them screw up them how many times? So it's like, it's hard to have confidence there either.
How do you feel about McIntyre? Because, he's got the couple of times he's laid Brock out, but I feel like there are a lot of like dangers with him, like as far as like as a lead babyface. I think they're going to strip him of his personality. And then I'm looking at, the show. What do you think? Like, is he in a pole position to go ahead and just, beat Brock? Do you see him as a like world champion type guy?
Well, real quick before you get to that, Mike, one thing that I've noticed is like McIntyre is getting the program that Roman Reigns should have gotten, as far as like the machinations and all the things that happen. He's getting all of the things that would have made you believe and got people behind him in a way that like Roman should have gotten going in WrestleMania 34. Like, instead of getting outsmarted and maced and getting his ass whooped and like fake cops beating his ass left and right, he's actually going out there and he's out here cracking Brock, and Brock is selling big for him. Every and like he's actually beat, threw him out the Rumble and all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to point out is like, it's interesting that like they screwed us up with Roman when that's what they should do with Roman, given that they were doing the part-timer versus full-timer thing, and what we're getting right now with Drew and Lesnar. So, sorry, Mike, go ahead. What were your thoughts on Drew's, since going into WrestleMania, since winning the Rumble?
Somebody pointed this out, and I was thinking of this as you were talking. Think about what Drew looked like, when he first stepped into WWE. Remember that way back when? And even now, it's like an evolution of Harlequin romance novels, of like the guy on the cover holding the woman. Because it's true. I mean, you think about that straight ass hair he had and that long ass neck. Like, he could have been like a Finn Fabio on the cover of those books, posing with all these women. Man. And now, like, the women have gotten a little bit older, but so has Drew. He's like the guy that, like, he's gone from the evil guy in the Hallmark Christmas movie to being the guy that the woman looks for and like the kid can buddy up to after the dad dies, because that's how all those movies go.
Oh, man.
But like, seriously though, like they were running a dangerous line with him, with turning him into a goofball, doing the comedy, doing the WWE thing, their shitty call and react, that is just really cornball, that, that turns the person,
shucks.
Yeah, that's doing it into the suffer and succotash dude.
Oh, God.
But one thing they were able to do was they got the countdown over. Okay, that was good. They had him cut the interview which was great because, in my opinion, that interview that he did erases the goofy shit that they were doing with him as like, hey, everybody, I'm going to be your new champion and I'm in the main event, and that BS that they make him do. I think the interview that he did kind of was a perfect dividing line for that. Like, they told me, like, I didn't think I was going to be back here, and I came back here and I'm back humping again, and this and that and the third. Like, I think they did that right. He goes out there, and I mean, that could not have went any more perfect with Brock. You kill him once because Brock tried to sneak you. And then as Brock stumbles up the ramp, you prove that you're as much of a bastard and a badass main eventer as Brock by you come back out there, you kick him right in the face again. And then you kick him again. And it's like perfect. And Brock sold for it perfectly. He goes ass over tea kettle. He's laid out. He's hurting. And finally, Drew McIntyre, and they did this with Aleister Black this week where they made him disappear. One thing they did with Drew McIntyre that was really smart over the last few months was he would be out there in the mix. If something was starting to go sideways, Drew would just disappear. So he was never hurt. And it's kind of funny how in WWE, like, when you go out injured, like, you come back more over. So they figured out a way to keep somebody on the level by not having them be weighed down by anything else on the show. And they protected them in a good way. And they were able to set this up. So it's proof that they could still do it. It's like pulling teeth for them, and it took forever to do it. But, I mean, they've done a good job with him. They've done a much better job with him in understanding him than they have with Aleister Black, that I think they've lost the plot on somewhat in some ways. And again, they better be careful because you don't want him, and it's been well over a year now he's been on that main roster, so he could just be another dude. And they've been actually pretty good at not helping him, but also not dragging him down into the dirt worse. And they better be careful not to do that with the OC.
Yeah, it's been about 3 months with Aleister. And I just, seeing what's happened with Ricochet, I still wonder, like, why the hell couldn't they have just kept them as a tag team? Like, how, made them tag team champions and then had Aleister Black originally, turn on Ricochet and go from there and have a mid-card, or upper mid-card feud or whatever else to try to get both of those guys over, as opposed to Ricochet comes out.
You know why, and that's because Aleister's there and Ricochet's not. And you see how one is looked at as a star, one is looked at as a top-tier guy, and the other is looked at as, I don't understand, why do people like this little peanut head dude who flips around? Like, why can't, again, how they've described him. He's a superhero. Call yourself a superhero. I'm a superhero. It doesn't work. Like,
they got Ricochet to like 2018 returning Finn Balor, like, in record time. Like, they got to like the end of the Finn Balor era in 6 months almost, or 5 months. I just don't get it. It's like,
and I'm looking at this card, like, this. I don't know, man. This.
I think my thing is, like, even if you don't believe in him, fine, make him your number 3 or 4 babyface. Keep him in a nice little spot, and then when there's a heel you need to elevate, put him into a program, have him embarrass him and beat him, and then the crowd will still have already liked him. Like, instead, they just went out there and just take him off TV, or, have him get thoroughly whooped by AJ Styles, except for the one time he beat him. And then from that, got his ass whooped that whole program. Then he's doing nothing ever since of any kind of note. And now he's on main event with Cedric. And it's like, I don't see what's the use of if you brought this dude up, and you saw enough of him to try to give him a push initially, and the only thing he did was not be a good promo, then obviously it's, they need like 5 rocks to make this shit go. They don't need like regular wrestlers. But I just why are they so lazy? It's so annoying to see them be so lazy. And NXT is like the plutonic ideal of, if you want to do this, the wins and losses don't matter, nonsense of running a promotion, then like just be NXT. I don't mean like as far as how you operate your storylines, how they progress, and you have out of nowhere things where, like, in Deus Ex Machina stuff, like, oh, Raquel Gonzalez just came out there and just saved Dakota for no reason whatsoever. Okay, fine, but at least I can deal with that, and I got some, decent stories, as opposed to like the start and stop stuff that just like no one can ever get behind on that, or get behind that kind of storytelling.
Ricochet here, I don't want to get killed by anybody in the Ricochet hive, but I don't look at Ricochet. Never did look at him as a world champion.
Same here.
With that said, like, not everybody's going to be a world champion.
Right.
Like you mentioned, like Jay Strongbow and guys of his ilk. Like, I mean, the formula was to get to X, you had to go through these dudes.
Gatekeeper.
And like, and for Ricochet to be that, there's enough titles where he could have won one and kept one going and traded one out and got into this and got into that, but been the guy that was a stepping stone, sure, but you got to give him some credibility, or what does it mean to step on him? And when you bury people and when nobody means anything and when everything's 50-50, when guys get through, it doesn't mean anything. And even worse than Ricochet is Ali. Because at least Ricochet, and I mean, it was the least, but at least was in there with Brock. And then this will be erased from history. It already was on the.
Airbrushed.
But like the kick in the nuts, and the whole reason that Drew got him out was that was glossed over. And I get that for Drew, and when you do the video package, but they didn't even focus on that when he got to Saudi Arabia. And then, it's over, it's done with. It never really happened. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
they're doing that. They should just release them. Just fire them. Like, they clearly have no interest. Like,
yeah, but they won't do that, and you know why they won't do that. But like with Ali, it's like, okay, everything that you say Ricochet doesn't have, Ali does. Ali has got more presence, I think, because of the gear that he has. He radiates more than other people, I think, and then definitely of Ricochet. His promos. And again, this is not to insult Ricochet, it's to praise Ali, have been on the money. He's been creative. He's been clear. He's been strong with these promos, the videos that he did on his own. I mean, the initiative that he took to do that, his presence on how he carries himself out there. On the real tip, he's, again, he is a Muslim. He was a former he's young. There's all these boxes that, like, if you want to check out and check off and put him in a situation, he fits a lot of situations. I mean, why would you not want to take care of this dude? And he's on SmackDown. I can tell you. Well, yeah. Well, he's on SmackDown with Bruce Pritchard and with Vince McMahon as the filter. And it's like, we don't know what to do with this guy or whatever it is. Also, and it's like, huh? It's amazing.
In the side chance that he does catch fire, you think they're going to push him over Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns?
Of course not. I mean, no.
So they don't want that catching fire at all. Move out the way.
And it's unfortunate because they need everything that they can get. And it's like the Rob Gronkowski thing. And I don't know if you wanted to talk about it or not. And I don't have to talk about it. Believe me.
Let's talk about Gronk. Why not?
Well, I'll just point out that, like, okay, so you're going to put him on Smack. Here's the next hot shot that you're doing to get attention and get ratings. And once you get the ESPN SportsCenter clip, once you get him on, oh God, who would be shoulder programming? The Today Show, 4th hour with Hoda and whoever the hell she's
with. Man.
Once you do this stuff, once you do the corporate synergy stuff, once it's like, the Gronk against the Fiend, the Gronk against what? Once that's over with, what do you got? You got a goofball that a lot of people don't like with his stupid ass hair and his stupid ass face and his drunk ass self. And he can't wrestle. He's got a bad back, a bunch of concussions, and is pretty much an idiot. Like,
CTE.
I mean, like, I'm hoping he gets in somebody's way, and I don't think this will happen in today's environment, and somebody chokes his ass out on the floor. Like, all I want is a story like one of those Boss Rutan, Brian Urlacher stories where, like, he just talks to somebody he shouldn't talk to and is, like, pulled aside to say, like, this person's going to kill you. But nobody pulls him aside, and somebody actually just smears him all over the floor. And this is not that I'm hoping that this happens to Gronk, but, like, this is where my brain is at with them bringing in another hot shot when you got all of this talent and then some on a roster that you couldn't build towards any of you built towards Saudi in a way because you had to, but you didn't build towards Elimination Chamber. You're not building towards WrestleMania. You're doing all this stuff just to try to get the cheapest of attention, and it's not going to help you in the long run, period, point blank. And I get wanting to go for the attention. I get that. But, like, this dude's going to be a regular. He's signed a 20. He's got dates more than just, like, showing up at SummerSlam or maybe being in the Royal Rumble. Like, come on, man. This is not what we need right now.
part of the reason why I really don't have any interest in WWE. Like, it's like, if the dude's gonna like actually become a legitimate wrestler, that's awesome. There's a whole history of like guys being football players and then becoming a wrestler. It's like, okay, go become a wrestler.
Yeah,
you got Tito Sabatelli on the roster for how long?
God, that's different.
How long is your 24/7 champion been in the mix down there? How long has Riddick Moss been on the roster?
A long time.
Yeah, I mean, and this is all in some ways too. It's like, you know what you're going to get out of this, which is you're going to get Mojo Rawley. Like, I don't want to see, and this is no offense because I grew up around College Park. Like, this is nothing against Mojo Rawley and his enthusiasm, and he's a great company man. I'm sure he is. Dude, I don't want to see you. I don't want to see you, your personality. There's nothing about him I want to see at this point. They should have put him in a tag team, not with Zack Ryder a long time ago, if they really thought they were going to do something with him. And they never did anything with him. And now it's like, it's so predictable. Once Gronk is back, they have interest in him.
Yeah.
Once they don't have interest in Gronk, he'll go away again. But with Gronk being there, shit, that means Mojo's going to be there, and I don't have time for this. And I don't have time for Tino and Riddick Moss, and no offense to Dio Madden, but he's another one that they're probably going to – if they do some football shtick with these dudes, it's like, no, thank you.
Man.
Like, I don't really have anything against those dudes. It's just or I flat out don't have anything against those dudes, but the thing is, like, at a certain point, like, when are y'all gonna like realize that like that's not?
If they were so talented, they should have sent them to Evolve and let them work, get some damn work. And this is like the AEW women. Like, I don't want to hear this shit. Like, well, they're young on the roster. We're doing that. No, why are you not booking these people on indie shows where you need people? Like, put Nyla Rose should be working 3 days every weekend. She should get out of Wednesday and go, you're traveling Thursday, you're going to work here Friday, you're going to work here Saturday, you got an afternoon Sunday show. Get experience. Every single last stinking one of them. And not just them, Private Party, there's other people as well too, because you're on this big stage. Why they're not doing it, I don't know. Use Evolve. Like, in my opinion, I don't know what they're going to do with Gargano, and I'm sorry to go off on a tangent here. I don't know what they're going to do with Gargano and Ciampa, but
somebody need to retire.
That's the thing is, like, you know, neither one of them want to go to the main roster. Right. Neither one of them could survive the main roster. Right. I don't think Triple H wants them on the main roster. Right. And frankly, I think if anybody goes up, it's going to be the Undisputed Era, and it may, and it's going to be, because that's why I think that's where Dream's coming in, and it's going to be Keith Lee. There's other people you can bring up. So I think Gargano's going to ultimately lose, but what I would do with him is stick him in Evolve, stick him on NXT UK, stick him wherever you can so he stays working. He can do what he can train, but he can let that back go and let any of his injuries kind of subside to the side, and you can still utilize him on your brands, on your network, without using him on NXT. You can stay adjacent with him. You can talk about what he did on UK, or that he cut a promo and he ain't going to forget Tommaso, or whatever you want to do, but you can utilize him that way. But like one of them on the main roster, oh, no.
Yeah, that's been finito. Even if I feel like one of them is going to have to lay it down after this. Like, it's going to be, and I think it's going to be really Ciampa, but we'll see. I really don't see what's next for Ciampa in NXT after this. Like, what's he going to do? Get the NXT title back? Like that? I don't really see it, but I forgot what we were talking about. Oh, yeah, I know. So I was going to ask you, because of how much you seem to have hated the Gronk. Is the reason why are you still holding bitter feelings to 28-3? Are you still holding bitter feelings onto that? Have you let that go yet?
So, Rich, what are you doing this weekend, man? Actually, no, and here's why. Because 1 year on my fantasy team, I decided I took Gronkowski and I had Hernandez the year that they. So I had both of them, and I was decent across the board at every other position, but because you could always start. I mean, you get that option for that second tight end in there, and I would use him, and I cleaned up pretty good. So I mean, Super Bowl aside, I can blame it on Shanahan. I can do that because I seen him lose another one out of his hands. But hey, that's on me. I accept that. That's not on them. I hate him for entirely other reasons.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so another point you brought up was the women in AEW. They need to go ahead and get dates and forget the they're young. Like, that's one thing that for me is just this year in AEW, in 2019, the first quarter. One thing I think you talked about how they've kind of rallied the troops and cut some of the stuff that wasn't working. I think one of the things that I think a lot of people, especially me, are happy to see is like they're actually giving them room to actually like be more than just people that come out and be caricatures that wrestle. So like with Britt Baker and Tony and Nyla winning the title and cutting promos as this dominating heel, the back and forth between Britt and Swole, the storyline that played between Britt and Yuka with the teeth thing. Like, I feel like there are more memorable things that have happened out of this in these 3 months than the first 3 months of Dynamite.
I agree. I agree. I thought Hikaru Shida was going to be this more, but I know she had to move, and she's got experience. I thought Emi Sakura, I get why she was a good choice for Riho. She was not a good choice to the American fan base. And there were ways, I think, to introduce, and that's the thing. I don't think they've introduced these women as well as they should have too, with enough of a story on who they are, right, and why we should care about them. And I know some things with Catty Wumpus right off the bat, because I think they were really looking at Kylie Ray to be like, Kylie Ray and Britt were going to be their people, and like Britt was going to be the really pretty one with the great, side story that is going to need some work. And then Kylie was going to be the R. Bailey who could work a little bit and kind of work with everybody. And then we'd have Riho, and then we'd have this. And it's like, obviously nothing worked out in the way that they had really planned to, but they just didn't put him in the right position. And I still am not sure that they're doing that. Like, Chris Statlander is all the potential in the world. And you look at her body, you look at her poise at this point, for as much as she's wrestled, which hasn't been much. And it's like, okay, it's a big block, and I mean that in the most positive way. I really do. But it's like, and you need a big block out there with Nyla Rose, because it's like Brock Lesnar. It's like, who do you, I know this is wrestling, it's fake, all, whatever. But like, who do you think is going to beat, Brock Lesnar? Who is going to beat Nyla Rose? You need somebody out there, and why they didn't separate those two, keep them apart, feed them both, every jazz. I'm trying to think of anybody out there on the scene that you could bring in and help them work and put them over. This one in 2 minutes, this one in 4, this one in 8. You know what I mean? Just however waters you needed to take them, you find that person to put them in with and keep them apart. And they didn't do that. And not only do you not do that, you had them go off for that face-off where Nyla cut a great promo. Finally, she's out there, she cuts a promo, they give her the chance to. It starts a little rough, and then she hits it. But then you bring out Chris, and then you bring out Swole. And this is nothing against Big Swole, okay? She shouldn't be there. And if she is going to be there, she's another one. She should be working Friday, Saturday, and I don't know if she's not or if she is. I don't know, but she doesn't seem like it, and she needs to be, because she's not ready for prime time, and it's not her fault. I'm going to take the prime time spot and the money and the exposure too, if offered. With that said, it's for them to put her in a better spot, so a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, we're not going, oh, God, here's Statlander, here's Swole, here's, X, Y, and Z woman. So they've done a better job with them. They focused on Nyla should be the monster of the division. That's how it should be. Britt as a bad guy obviously is working out infinitely better, because she's got it down. I mean, the cadence when she's screwing with Tony, as soon as I heard it on the boat, right up the Tony, it's like, okay. Like, anybody that's heard that, we've all heard that from that woman that's annoying, who's you're trying to get away from because she's trying to get with you, or just annoy or whatever, where it's just like, hey, like, no, get away. And I think she pulls it off perfectly. Now, again, the ring, the best thing they could do is bring in people and just put these people in better positions and get them out there working. I remember, and I keep bringing this up because it blows my mind, when they were talking about Alex Marvez, and I listen to Alex every day for the most part on NFL radio. I know what his gig is. I know what he's writing. And it's like, are asking around, has he been in the box? He's going to be calling matches. Like, who's he working with? Because before TNA, and this is the stories because Jim Cornette went in and smacked the shit out of Ed Ferrara. But when TNA was starting, they went to NWA Wildside shows in Georgia, and it was Ed Ferrara and Mike Tenay or whoever it was. I can't remember who was actually Don West. I guess it was because they had never done wrestling. Don West had never done wrestling, so it was get him out there to learn. And it was well, is Alex doing this? I don't think so. No. And I'm thinking, well, he's on his shift with Gil Brandt from 7 to 10. He's obviously not, or whatever it is, 7 to 11. So he's definitely not doing it then. It's and then they put him out there and it's not good. And it's well, what? I'm not blaming, and everybody killed Alex. It's this isn't Alex's fault. I mean, it's hey, Rich, go out there and I'm trying. What is an instrument you don't know how to use? Go play the harmonica. Oh, you're a musician, right? Go play the trombone in front of these, 60,000 people. It's just, come on, man. It's you didn't put him in the best you didn't give him the best chance to succeed. And as bad as we jump on WWE for that, when AEW doesn't, because of the people they have put in a position to succeed, it's tough. And the women this is where WWE's got it all over them, is with women. And it's because, number one, the lot that they have, but it's the amount of women that they have who, again, with different experience levels. Io Shirai is criminally underused, underrated, all that stuff, underutilized, but that's where she's at right now. Yeah, but imagine her on the AEW roster. Shit.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
I mean, look, she might be the best wrestler in NXT. I mean, if I were to pick one person at NXT, they go out there and have the best match you possibly can, given your talent level. I think she's more talented in the ring than Johnny Gargano, but it is what it is, and you know how I feel about Johnny. I love Johnny, but I think the thing for me is, when I hear about, this person only been wrestling for 5 years, I'm man, forget the 5 years. How many matches have they had? You look at the Statlander 5-year thing or 3 years, whatever it is, and I'm okay, well, let's compare her to people that have worked in Stardom for 3 years and have, 250 dates or whatever else. They're far ahead of them. They need matches to get in the ring. And when you have Nyla, for example, when Nyla did the powerbomb thing to get sent out of the promotion for by as a punishment, being fined and suspended or whatever else, she did the Stardom. She did a Marvelous tour, and she did 3 dates in one day, or 3 matches in one day. And then you look at her 2019 so far, she's had 9 matches. Okay, so wait a minute. The only day she's doing is AEW. She's not being sent around to, shine, shimmer, rise, whatever else. And maybe that's because of the WWN connection. I don't know. But, there's also other places and other indies to go work at where top indies. And it's not there. So I'm okay, so basically we're just going to wait until these people get good in 3 years. Okay. Good luck.
Session Martina is getting more time in more places, and
doing
this is
comedy
not to bag her, but it's and granted, different situation, but she's working Eve and she's working ROH and she's working this one and that one and the other one, and it's again, there's that tie-in with WWN. So okay, you don't want to send her to Gabe, you don't want to send her to, if you're not sure about Stardom, but it's Tokyo Joshi Pro. I know that Kenny Omega guy's got a connection with DDT,
right.
The dojo life can be kind of important. Look at Dakota Kai. Look at, a lot of
Tegan
Cross, Tegan, Nixon Newell. Yeah, I mean, the women who have gone over there and stayed for a little bit. And again, that's the only way you get better is to practice and to iron sharpens iron and to fuck up and to get yelled at and to get, sometimes you get smacked. I mean, look, I come from a different era of football playing and stuff like that, where it's it's okay to get knocked down. It's how you get up, and what did you learn anything? Again, the repetition that you get that you just can't get wrestling once a week on a Wednesday for 4 minutes. It is not going to cut it. And sending them over there, no, it's not like it's working with, it's not like you're working in Stardom. I get that, but Mako Satomura's out there, and again, maybe that's a WWF tie-in or WWE tie-in possibly. I don't know where they stand, but I do know that you could send them over to Japan, have them work smaller promotions with women who are working every day at this, and how are they not going to get better? I mean, it's just, how are they not? Their levels are where they are right now. They're only going to improve.
Right. And, I mean, you look at so many people that they've signed in WWE, have worked Stardom or different places in Japan, whether it's like, I mean, you look at that whole entire NXT UK thing, and it's like, okay, Tony, Rhea worked a couple shows in Japan, Piper Viper Niven, whatever her name is in NXT UK, Kaylee Ray, even Robbie Brookside's girl Zaya, saying is like Killer Kelly's worked Sendai Girls, like it's Isla Dawn worked Stardom, and you just look and you're just like, okay, so they. Sorry,
I'm sorry. It's like, if you don't want to send her to Japan, send her to Europe.
Yeah,
like Jeddah is she's not leaving to go anywhere from Eve. Like, I mean, it just there's enough places in Germany. There's enough places to go with people that you are connected with, even if it's mostly even working with men. Or a promotion where she's going to have to work with. I mean, they're training and working with men here anyway. It's like Chris Statlander has worked more probably with Chris Dickinson than she has some women, that on the indie scene. So it's like wherever they can go to get it. If the concern is, well, you don't have anybody, or there's going to be a political issue here. And Mexico is a little bit different because, again, now you may be confusing them working from the other side or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I don't think anybody that ever got sent down there got that confused, Again, the level of women is not as high there. I mean, things have kind of changed, but don't tell me that there's not options, because there are. I mean, look, who knew who Private Party was for the most part? And that's, if you follow the indies, if you follow Evolve, ROH, New Japan, if you follow other promotions in WWE, you still didn't know you still didn't know who Private Party was. You didn't know who Nyla Rose was. So you're finding these people and bringing them to the forefront. Take care of those people who are on the roster, because, again, Cody's going to screw up at some point. Jericho's going to be gone for a while. This isn't going to hit. That's not going to hit. Your main stuff isn't going to hit. But if your other stuff is humming, if your women's division's going good, and your mid-card and your lower mid-card solid, well, then you give yourself a little bit of a chance to breathe.
Yeah, I agree. And you also look at the almost every single week, the lack of amount of time that the women's division really gets. They get like seemingly 20 minutes tops per 2 hours of show. Like, clearly they know they're doing some protection there. And I'm not necessarily upset that, they're doing that level of protection given where they are as wrestlers, most of them. But I always had the same feeling, just like, okay, eventually everything is not, like, the big things they do is not going to be great, and they're going to have to rely on something else eventually. Like, they're going to have to, like, quote unquote, fight with the left hand. And, maybe the back pocket thing is like they just focus more on tags and trio stuff, but like, I don't think they can go to, all right, well, let's have a second.
4 people in the match, the shitty match that falls apart is still worse than 2.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I don't think they're really at a point where, like, okay, well, let's go to women's wrestling and have a second feud going on the same show. That's not going to happen. It's like, all right, well, they're not going to get better if you don't give them more opportunity. And I don't think you want to learn on the job on TV. I think I always thought that's a bad proposition. Even when they do that with Lacey Evans or whatever, or Dana Brooke or whatever projects they've tried to do, pull them out of NXT before they're ready either.
2 more great examples. I mean, 2 more, and Rich, I'm sorry, but 2 more great examples there of people that you didn't put in the best position that you could have maximized far better and far more. And with the women, and AEW, it's like, yeah, forget about a second women's feud at all. I mean, again, if you can't pull off one, and just, again, it comes back into, what do you got them there for? There's too many people that came out and said you shouldn't even had a women's division. Ugh. That was bad. That was bad to start with, when you had people that, like, were respectable enough people going, like, you don't have enough to start this. Have matches, not a division, because you just don't have enough to keep it humming yet.
So they have been like using AEW Dark a lot to, like, have more time for, the women's wrestlers, and also like to scout a lot of different women. Like, they're pulling people I've never seen ever. Like, they had someone named Abaddon, I believe, wrestle Hikaru Shida this week. And I mean, it's like, this is clearly the weakness. And it's like, if you know this is your weakness, I don't think you need to just like bend over and try to make it your strength all in one whop. Like, you need to just make sure you're doing what you're doing. Like, you're coming up with a process to eventually get the right results, rather than jumping to, hey, we're just going to start overexposing them for the fuck of it. Like, they're, like it or not, they're in the middle of a ratings war too. So it's like, you're going to get one shot. Like, there's going to be one slot or maybe two, like on Dynamite, like that. Aside from that, they've got ancillary programs for that.
Right. And they do utilize Dark. My thing is, they need to utilize outside of just Dark to get this done. Or maybe whatever they do with this secondary show or whatever else. Like, maybe there's more YouTube shows. I don't know. But, like six wrestling matches six wrestling matches through the first quarter of the year for Nyla Rose from AEW ain't gonna get her where she needs to be, or where they want her to be anyway. They're gonna have to outsource that. Same for Britt. Same for I don't know who, Swole. Same for, Shanna's pretty good. I really think like they know it seems like they know what their core is right now. So like they're ahead of where they were last year, comparatively speaking, obviously. But all right, if that's what if these are the people that you're rocking with, good, fine by me. Pick somebody and figure out how to make them as successful as you possibly can. And I think that comes down to, you got to get them dates, like Mike said, outside of Dynamite or Dark.
And a hush falls over the room.
Yeah, I got a message. I was trying to see what that was. But anyway,
I will be right back. Sorry.
All right, no problem.
Give me like 15 seconds. I'll be back.
All right, no problem.
Sorry.
All right.
Yeah, so, I'm trying to think of other stuff from just to even talk about right now.
Hangman Page.
Okay.
Hangman Page, and I guess, he had the deal where they beat Matt Jackson, or excuse me, laid Nick Jackson the fuck out, and he basically said the Bucks weren't going to be his partners, and this guy's a superstar. Like, just every week, it's like he's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and of course, with the coronavirus thing, he sends that letter out. Just fucking hilarious. Like, saying he can't like take drinks from anybody anymore, and I just think he's so he has such a great command of the room and know who he is right now.
Yeah, I want to see what happens when he's in a singles feud again.
It was Pac. He wrestled Pac. It was awesome.
I said no. Well, maybe not match. As far as a program, I want to see, can he go from having the quote unquote mid card program to having the main event program, or like, can he be in the number 2 spot on a card, like in like basically like the Cody role lately? I want to see, like, that's what would be the next progression. Kind of like how we talk about with not Kushida, but Sonata, and wonder, like, all right, well, like, what's next for Sonata? Like, like, we need to get this one belt off of Naito and make, try to get him towards IC champion type thing this year. Like, that's what his 29. That's what the goal for 2020 should be for, like, Sonata. So, like, the 2020 goal for Adam Page should be like, can he, like, be in a feud in a secondary number 2 feud, singles feud, or whatever else with somebody. And I think that's obviously going to be the Kenny thing when they eventually break up. But I wonder if he's there yet, or if he still needs even more time than where we are now. Because, like, for a while it felt to me like, or before we got to Revolution, it seemed like we were primed for he's going to turn on Cody or whatever else, or not Cody, turn on Kenny and go towards this thing in the next pay-per-view. But obviously, they're going to continue letting this thing play out until eventually one of them turns on each other.
So how are you feeling about this tag team, and particularly Hangman Page? We all pretty much know like what Kenny is about, and he's whatever. But the whole thing is, I think with Hangman, it's really compelling to see how he has the arenas like going nuts right now. Like, Mike, what are you thinking? With Hangman, like, what's his 2020 kind of look like?
It'll be interesting. This is another one. If you look at the end of last year and where they were going, they had to get Hangman right, and they didn't get him right from day one, and they had to fix that, and they have fixed it. And Kenny Omega, a lot of people, and I was not Mr. Kenny Omega in Japan or anything. I mean, I look at what Finn Balor did there as more revolutionary. I think in some ways what AJ Styles was able to do getting over there was in some ways more impressive. So I always set Kenny Omega up against those other Bullet Club guys. Now, match-wise and all that stuff, athleticism, unmatched. But, I think the best thing Kenny Omega has done in his time in AEW was get involved in the tag match with Hangman Page because he's an executive of this company. And Hangman Page, forget about the Bucks and Cody and Kenny Omega. Who were the people that were going to be the real stars going forward of this company? Britt Baker. It was going to be obviously Kylie Ray, Pac. At least for as much as they could get him for America and for the UK, he was going to be key. And obviously Hangman Page. This is a guy that Hiroshi Tanahashi loved. That was going to be a cornerstone of New Japan's, the foreigners in New Japan for years to come. Obviously that didn't happen because he goes with AEW. So okay, he's going to be a cornerstone of AEW for years to come, and it didn't happen. And things slipped up right from Jump Street. How they've gotten it back, I think, has been it's been a yeoman's effort. They have not slipped up. They've put in the work to kind of build him back up, and you just sometimes need one thing, and that one thing was that cowboy shit. And the performances have gotten better. Obviously, how they've teased him and Kenny has been great to the point now where Kenny could turn, the Young Bucks could turn, Adam Page could turn. But here's the one thing I don't do. I don't turn Adam Page for nothing, unless you got a really great story here that you are going to push him to the moon and he's going to be your new Jericho, for whatever time he's going to be that dude. That's the only way I turn him, and I wait till he gets to the peak of where you can popularity wise and then let it slip. But I would ride this for as long and as hard as I can because you want him to be your babyface superstar for forever and a day. You know what I mean? And I think he can be, but if you need to have him go to the dark side again, you got enough baby faces there, I guess, now if you want to do it short term, but I wouldn't. I would just leave it alone. But I think no matter what they decide to do, I think they've actually got some heat and some steam behind them enough where people believe in him and their fans are back to their fans believe in him because all of the New Japan fans, they believed in him. If somebody was coming over from ROH, they believed in him. There were some people that probably didn't see Adam Page all that much in relation to some of the others, and now they get it. The character, they believe in him. He's not just the fifth wheel, of the elite. He is, in the driver's seat, or at least people believe he is, and that's how he's looking at himself, and that's easy. Hey, look, nobody wants to get down with a loser, and that's another thing that WWE always forgets about 50-50 and all that. It's like, at some point, even if you're an a-hole, whether it be Trump or Mayweather or whatever, there are people that will just ride with you because you're winning, because they want to be associated with a winner. And so at some point you have to give people that and give people a reason to rally behind you. Win, lose, or draw. I mean, that shit matters. It's win.
Right. And I think more important than, the drinking beer thing is because everyone, there's a long history of people drinking beer in front of crowds at wrestling shows from the pinnacle of Steve Austin to the bottom of Sandman. But
Bruiser and the Crusher. I mean, we can go back years on this. There's always somebody getting drunk.
You dated yourself, but
man, I'm not that old now. I'm just saying. Bruiser and the Crusher. I'm just talking drunk here.
No, fair enough. But I think the fact that they put him in the makeshift tag team, and I mean, you had the makeshift tag team of Kenny and Hangman batting around even one of the first two episodes of Dynamite when they had that tag match with Pac and Ambrose. That was great. Or yes, call me Ambrose, but whatever. And Moxley, whatever. So you had that, and you had those roots, and then they get into these matches, and regardless of whatever happens, at the end of it, Hangman is going to get the pin. Great. Kenny doesn't need those wins. It's a tag match. He's a great wrestler. He's already established that crowd. The person he needed to show and prove was Hangman, and Hangman goes out there, and normally he goes wild at the end of these matches and wins these matches or whatever else. So this is the push, and it's worked out splendidly. Like, I'm glad that he drinks the beer, but at the end of the day, like, he goes out there with Kenny, they have kick-ass matches, and at the end, he goes wild, and he ends up putting people away. It's not that hard. Like, the last person in WWE you look at that, like, became a huge star, or a big star, at the top of the company was this woman named Becky Lynch. It was because she went on a win streak by putting people on SmackDown in the middle of the ring with her finisher. 8 weeks in a row, or 8 straight matches and singles matches. This isn't... Booking is hard, but it ain't rocket science. So I really love the Hangman thing, and I just wonder if we can take this to the next level, or if it's like, all right, he's just going to be like him and Darby are just going to be like the two guys just underneath, or I'm just wondering if I'm just curious if either one of them breaks through all the way to the top of the card, and if their fan base will buy them like in the short term as opposed to years down the line. Like, can Hangman be a potential championship title holder, like, you know, in the next year, or is it something where it's like, nah, like, you need to get Hangman, or not Hangman, you need to get Cody and Jericho and Moxley out the way before people will actually buy that? I don't know.
I don't think you need to get them out of the way, but I think you just need to... I would ride with them until I can't anymore, because you have a Jericho MJF dynamic if you want it. You obviously have the Cody MJF dynamic. You have the Cody and Moxley down the line at some point. You have these other names in the mix. You have Omega still, obviously, who, you know, can turn it up against any of them. So with Page, it's going to just be a matter of timing, as long as he stays strong and in the mix, which you would figure he will. As long as he is credible, people will buy it, because, like, you know, Adam Page can beat Chris Jericho in a good match. I'm certain of that. You know, that match would be put together by Jericho. It would be good. You know, Omega can, because at least just physically, you know, can Page keep up with him to X amount? No, he probably can't, but he wouldn't have to either. And you know, probably it's going to be an excellent match. You know, you put them in there with these guys, with Pac again, you do that match again in this environment with what people know of both of these guys and their characters more developed. You know, I think it bangs a lot harder. So, you know, him and Swagger, you know, it's going to be a reach, but you're going to have people like that. How does Page perform? You know, if he's going to be a world champion, how's he going to make the guys you have to have matches like this? You know, Sammy Guevara, for his experience level, for as inexperienced as Page is in some ways, like, you know, how can he make him look? So I think he can be that dude, but I just think you're going to need the story, because you have these other, you know, big, huge shadow stories that, you know, from these big, huge figures that you got on your roster that just, unfortunately, they overshadow him right now. And this is where if they wanted to do something, again, go back to the past and make a title count, this is where your national title, U.S. title, intercontinental title, this is where it should be strong, and this is where you should have one, because you have Adam Page with that belt against this person, that person, the other person. Pac, same way. It's like, if you had that and you actually have a title that means something and it's a real stepping stone, then you can have him mess with that, or you can have him and 4 other guys mess with that in the mix for months on end, while these other guys are in the top mix. And then you can have one of them ready and always kind of like dribble them in and out by like sliding them up and down. You can always have a big 6. It's just you always have that one last spot open to keep rotating people in and out of, so they stay credible. And I think as long as Page is in that mix with those other guys, I think you're going to be all right. I just think even 2 years down the road, it just may be too soon because of the environment. But that doesn't mean you can't keep them strong. It's, hey, you can have as many stars as you want for as long as you want, as long as you keep them stars.
It's funny you brought up the secondary belt, and I thought that would be the spot for Cody. Like, since he can't win the world title anymore, give him that second belt. Do like a tournament final, Page and Cody, and let them go to war.
That would be the instant way to you know, make sure that title's got steam on it and make sure it's credible by putting it on a Cody. Because you say, I mean, the greatest example is Shinsuke Nakamura with the Intercontinental title in New Japan. It's just it was the ultimate, and the feud with Sombra, you know, Andrade now, that was one of those things where it's like, okay, this belt this is going to main event other shows. Shinsuke is such a star that he takes the belt up, and then he defended it as if it was, oh, heaven forbid, important. Because it was a championship. So, once you do that, then great. And Cody could be that dude. He could easily be that dude. And it doesn't have to be forever. He doesn't have to hold this belt and look at it with sadness that one day I wish you could be the world belt. No, he just does that until he loses it, gets in a storyline with somebody else for a while, and then wants the other belt again. It's like in WWE's world, he'd be looking at that belt every day going, well, it's not worth it enough. I want the world title. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They would run completely opposite what you're supposed to do with it.
Yeah, I'm still... A secondary belt's cool, and I've heard them talk about how they're trying to figure out what they want to do, because they want to figure out how to do stuff like potentially a secondary belt without feeling like a mid-card title, which is best of luck. Best of luck. But
the world television title used to be looked at as a world title on television because that's what they said, and Arn Anderson went out there and said, this is so important, I'm going to defend it all the time, and this matters. And it's going to matter if you make it matter. There's 6-man titles. I could see that coming for them faster than I could see anything else. That's what
I wanted for months.
And that's the thing, and they'll do it. And in some ways, I'm actually for it, because in some ways I kind of like having factions and units that you can. It just gives you more flexibility and more dexterity in your booking, I think, when you can have some units like that. But to me, you can't get over the top with it. But they could. I guarantee you, they would treat that belt like a main event belt right from Jump Street. So if they could do it with that, they could do it with anything, because there has not been a 6-man championship to matter in this country unless you lived in Dallas, between 82 and 85, or you lived in Charlotte for a little bit in 86. You know what I'm saying? With the Road Warriors, and Dusty had it against the Russians, and that's been it. From there, if anybody's going to make a trios title work in the States, it's got to be them. I don't know who else it could be.
And it's also relatively easy. It's given think of the Elite, Inner Circle, the Death Triangle now, Best Friends, Orange Cassidy. Let's see what other factions.
Jurassic Express.
The Blade. Right. You have all these places, and then you have all these matchups or different mixed matches between the two bigger factions like Inner Circle and Elite, or Elite adjacent, when you can throw out QT Marshall and Dustin or whatever else. Obviously, or for QT to come out there and eat a pin, and go out there and basically have the worst fucking Sasuke special in the history of the fucking sport, and then go out there and get pinned. Fine, but I watch Stardom, and I see their trios titles matches when they care about them, and how they do multi-person tags so often on these shows, or even just in Joshi tags in general, and different Korakuen Hall shows. And you watch these people fly around. You watch people fly around and beat the shit out of each other. And you're just like, this is easy. This is simple. And you look at the Joshi match they did at what was that, Double or Nothing? They had Aja Kong. You see how easy that was to please the crowd, and they weren't killing themselves to have a match that the crowd loved, and they did that. And it's okay, simple. Just do it really simple. Have the Young Bucks and Kenny win the trios titles. Have Kenny have to choose between Hangman and the Young Bucks, or do more of that. That's a simple. I'm not saying they need to do that, but that's something that is right there in their face if they want to do that with the trios titles situation. They come up with they put themselves in so many positions of flexibility to get themselves out of things and into things, that it's almost I almost feel like they have too many good ideas at sometimes, when their shows are kind of, especially in the beginning, the first few 9 or 12 episodes, whatever. I was they almost have too many good ideas for their own good, that it muddies up what they're trying to do, because they're trying to fit so much stuff in, and now they pared it down. That's why their show's better. But I feel like they're always thinking. That's how I feel.
You know why they have so much dexterity too? Is because they're booking wrestling. They're not writing wrestling, which gave them the ability at the end of the year to do. And that's one of the things too, where it's I'm in a catch-22 position, because depending on how you want to look at a YouTube video that was cut from Observer Live or whatever, it's like I'm either this boomer who's old, who's stuck in the past, who does a show on a network that's got Jim Cornette on it, and because, and we hear this, if you're John McAdam, if you're Jeff Bowden, if you're me, it's, well, because you're on the Arcadian Vanguard network and there happens to be 2 Cornette shows there where you're all the same. All y'all care about is that old wrestling and your Mid-Atlantic 82 and 83 and fuck you and Dusty and all that. And it's like, one, my titties aren't as big. I don't want to talk about my splotch like that. But you got to remember that, like, all of these things that you're watching right now were built upon that. Like, what Cody is doing, he's doing his daddy's thing. And if you look at Cody, he's just like his daddy, where he's the best baby face in the world. No, he's not. He's a heel. He's just playing a great baby face right now, and he is booking himself in great positions, and he's burning through stuff like his daddy. I mean, there's a whole lot of daddy to Cody, and that's a good thing when it's humming. But that's what it is, and it's like there's something to learn from that stuff. With that said, I'm also not that old. It's like I get what's going on today, and it's like you're in that spot where it's like, for me, it's like, are you too old, or are you not having enough fun with what happens? And then you say something positive about AEW, and then you're just buried because it's like, what about psychology? What about this? What about that? It's like, come on.
Yeah, like I think
Brian's segment the other week about like the differences between the WWE and AEW fans. I feel like me and James have given some version of that speech like almost every week for like a year now.
I mean, we were doing that back when like it was the the main roster people that like hate NXT because NXT got the praise it has gotten over the years compared to the main roster. Like, we've been doing that ever since then. So we've been doing this since like, I don't know, when did Johnny go singles? Like 2017-ish.
But the only thing I had with Brian was like he completely dismiss those people that, and again, I've had to feel it, and he feels it, and he knows it too, where it's like if you say something about AEW fans, because it's a different set.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of this comes, you see it with the rating, where it's like if something happens, like WWE is to the point now where you hear, well, man, you would figure people who are over 50 would care about the news. They do, but the thing is, what WWE has left of their fan base, like, they are that diehard and hardcore. It's like NXT. That number did not move on Wednesday night.
Didn't it go up in the second hour?
I think it may have. I mean, I know the overrun, helped to push that up, but it was
AEW fans are much more likely to be in touch with the rest of the world, like sports or events and culture.
From what I've seen, that is true, but a lot of them connect with that outside world through Twitter, through Instagram, through Facebook, through forums, through Reddit, where, yes, they do have more of an idea of what's going on. They comprehend more of what's going on, and maybe they want to dip into that or dip into the sporting event that's going on, but they're also looking at it in a completely different way because of their age group, and they look at things differently. They get offended much differently and much more quickly. The rage gets built up and things swing much more wildly. And that's something AEW you got to watch for just in general as they move forward, because they do have a newer base. I worried about them with a lot of their gilded fan base that they have. If they're not traveling to your shows anymore, then what? And I thought they had to be very careful initially because they built a fan base that was wheeling, dealing, and travel. And sure, I'll show up to go, Memorial Day weekend and Labor Day weekend and this and that. It's like, well, some people grow up, they only have 2 weeks of vacation and they got a family and limited incomes and stuff. And like, when that hits, then what? When you're not hot anymore, then what? And I think they're doing a good job kind of building a lot of that stuff up, but they're also building a base that is wildly different than anything that anybody else has had to deal with. And it's kind of a new and wild frontier. So, are they going to be able to, how much can they, because one of the problems with like a Nyla Rose is, okay, well, maybe we can play on this real life aspect of something, of her life of being transgender. Can we play this into? And it's like, I don't know. Can you? Because are you going to have enough of your base that is for this and understands that you're using it as a storyline and it's still a show and it's still a storyline, or are they going to get too pissed? they get too pissed over somebody losing, much less actually using trans. Because have they really said that on the air? Have they said she's transgender? How much have they used Sunny Kiss? I mean, and I'm not saying that like, hey, the experience level, Sunny Kiss shouldn't be there anyway. In some ways, he should only be on Dark. He should only be, working, kind of the perimeter. But like, there's a lot of fanfare like to your fan base online with Sunny Kiss, but then you haven't really utilized him much. Right. You haven't told his story. You know what I mean? Like you haven't even done that. So it's like it's going to be interesting to see how they play kind of everything because they got a much more sensitive base. And I'm not trying to rip it or anything like that, but I see how they react to things. I see how they've reacted to me saying just something simple, and you get like somebody says you're racist, somebody says you're not racist, somebody says you're sexist, and this is all the same thing. I've been hammered for stuff on both sides, and it's like, wait a second, I didn't even think it was that bad. Yeah, I got two people listening and hearing something completely different. They're hearing what they want to hear, other than what I meant to mean. You know what I mean? And it's like they have more of that and more of an emotional base, and it's how they're going to. It'll be interesting to see how they lasso and maneuver and harness that, because one of the biggest parts of pro wrestling booking and where they've done it well is you got to steer your ship. You have to give them enough of what they want. So when you have them strapped in the car, when they see that terrible thing coming on the off ramp, they're going to stay in the car, not jump out and bail on you, because sooner or later they can see some light at the end of the tunnel and the end of the road, and they know, okay, we're moving in that direction. Whether you pull a hard right at the last minute because you need to take, Omega here, or you need to take Cody here, that's all right. But they're steering it better, and because of the pro wrestling aspect, they can do that. And that's one thing they have all over WWE. WWE has gone so much in the other direction that they write themselves with their 70 riders into hell. Whereas you have more flexibility and dexterity with what AEW is doing. It's just their base is different. WWE's base, they're insane, and at this point, the 1.5 million or whatever the number is for the network, that's truly your base. Everybody talks about 2 million, 1.99. They see that rating viewing number and go, well, that's it. No, the base is the network. But if they're still willing to pay, if they're still willing to stand in there, I mean, that's one thing that AEW does not have yet. They don't have that core to that level that is not going anywhere. WWE is battle tested that way. If nothing else, they got 2 million people that are batshit crazy that will give them any amount of money to fall back on.
Yeah, and that's something that's going to take what? I mean, it's going to take years, but maybe even a decade. But I do enjoy the fact that like I don't feel like when I watch the television show, I don't feel like I have to like I'm being fought against like with my sense of decency and common sense, as opposed to watching the main roster and just be like, what? Why? And NXT is like, we talked about this earlier. Is like they'll completely like throw away Tegan in Dakota to try to get over Raquel from time to time. We'll have one of those but it's just like at least when they do it on NXT, like I don't feel like that's not half the show. Most of the show is like trying to push acts that like aren't never going to have a shot in the presentation I'm being given of them getting over ever, as opposed to WWE's like, oh god, like another
aside from like Forgotten Sons, aside from the Forgotten Sons for like the last 3 years.
But think about but we mentioned 2, and actually it wasn't even, it was 2 years, but still, like, let's go, if you want to go through it over the last 2 years, we don't really have that much of it. And honestly, like, the
Lars.
Thing is, like,
Lars
was 2008.
2018. Yeah.
Keith Lee his first match in, didn't he?
I remember that. I was not happy.
No. Was that his first match in? Keith Lee's?
Or a bunch of like early matches.
It was early.
I remember being yeah.
Those look, the last Keith Lee in Lars match was slobber knocker. Like, obviously, people make the joke about the 5-star Lars thing, but like that dude ain't stiff, or that dude is not a stiff. Like, is it somebody I want to see on my screen? No, but like that dude has something to him. But he's too far gone now.
Did you ever see him on your screen being stiff? Is that see that video?
I heard about the video. I did not see it.
Hit the pause button there. That's That's terrible.
But overall, I would agree. NXT would like there's clearly a system.
Control.
There's clearly a system on who they choose to use in NXT and who they don't.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny too. Where it was like when they brought up Chelsea and Deanna for that one
God.
show, and it was like, well, why did they use them? It's like, well, because they haven't been on NXT TV. It's like, well, okay, I can sort of get that, even though I always thought that was stupid. But then why are you giving them entrances and whatnot, like acting like they're somebody if you're just going to beat them and send them back down again?
Right.
Now they're on TV, so what does that mean? You can't bring them up to the main roster anymore? It's like,
right.
I don't know. And I also look, and this is no offense to my dude there from Jersey. What's his name? What's his name? Green now. Oh God, he used to be the DJ, not DJ Z, but the other dude.
Robbie E. Robbie
E. With the new role. It's like, I'm sorry.
Oh, Robert Stone.
Robert Stone. That's what it is. I don't know, Robert Green. Chelsea.
I didn't
Green
know. I didn't know what his gimmick was before NXT, so I didn't know.
It's like, I mean, I don't
Stoke
know.
Is right there.
I see Bronson Reed out there. I see Bronson out there missing that thing, and that thing is Stoke, and Stoke is right there. And
right.
What else does Stokely need to prove on, and I know there's probably people there that he's a manager, he's this, he's whatever, but it's like I look at him and I see a talented dude. I see what he's done.
He's hilarious.
With video over the last, and this isn't just now, it's when he was with Game Changer and doing stuff with Giancarlo or whoever, like he was doing it with. It's like
Evolve stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing him in ROH, and I went to a tryout camp thing. I got invited there to watch, and he was one of the people, and they had him there. They had just started the Ramon thing with Moose, and it's like, why is this brother called Ramon? Number one, number two. He's doing this preacher gimmick, and he immediately starts the match off, and he does, the hand, extends the hand, drops to the knee, there's every slimy heel bit, and it's like he's animated. You could tell he hasn't wrestled all that much, but it's like, what? And I had to say something then. It's like, why are you Ramon? Because that's what they want me to be. Okay. I was baffled. I had to ask people. I'm like, why is he like? Well, he's small. He's this, but we like this about him. And then it was just like, okay, And then obviously Moose left. They lost Stokely. He ended up going with Evolve or however that worked exactly. I don't know exactly what the timeline was, but it's like, I see him there, and I say, and again, this is nothing against Robbie E, but I look at Stokely and I think of Bronson Reed out there who has impressed, and it's like, man, this is a combination that could work, even if you don't think it's prime time. Like, Kenny Bolin and Mo Green had a life in OVW. There are managers who never make it to the mainstream that, like, can help dudes like this and be that animated guy for a dude who can't talk because he's somebody you signed to the PC who used to play football or throw a javelin or whatever nonsense people that you got to come in there. Like, you can utilize this man.
Right.
Maybe he can manage the Gronk.
Oh, stop it. But I tell you what, it's like, a guy like Dio Madden who they send back down, if he was going to be a wrestler, and it's like, although he could talk, but like you take one of these dudes who isn't worth a damn out there talking, and it's like, I mean, again, like, I'm not saying, like, just back to Lars Sullivan for a minute before we found out all of these things about Lars. Like, you have a monster, you have this crazy dude, much like Umaga, like, could Fatu talk? Yeah, or whatever. I can't remember what was last. I think he was a Fatu. But it's like, dude, was he? I can't remember now.
I can't remember.
Eddie,
regardless.
I think his name was Eddie Fatu.
Was he Fatu? Okay, yeah. I messed the families up. I don't want to get beat up because they're all Samoan and big. But it's like, well, a guy like Lars is like, bring him in with a mouthpiece like Stokely, and then have him turn on him, like, down the line if you want to turn him into put him on his own, whether good or bad. Like, everybody's always beating up a manager. So it's like, utilize these people. And no offense to the characters they got out there as mouthpieces, but I bet Stokely would be better.
Oh, yeah, he would be. And it's just like when they brought in Leo to be the mouthpiece for Lashley 2 years ago, and it's like, or roughly, no, about 18 months ago, whatever the hell, 2018. And he was just like, Lashley was dead, was DOA. He was done. He was wet dope. And you saw what happened with Leo breathing some life into him, and then like it was just time to get, or in their mind, it was time to get rid of him. And it's like, okay, so now what does Lashley do? Oh, he's doing that with.
Yeah, because Lashley, I've been talking about the person that always needed the help, because I mean, he always needed a manager. He always needed something because he didn't have that something.
Right.
And you look, he's $1 zillion. He's a great athlete. He's a great guy from all accounts. Like, there's all these reasons why he keeps getting these chances. But again, like, Leo was perfect because on top of being the great mouthpiece and adding some color and some dynamic to him, somebody's got to get their ass kicked. Right. And it's hard. Again, it's like the Brock thing. It's like, well, who are you going to go up against Brock? They still got Lashley. Why? Because he looks like that. You know what I mean? But so it's like, who can beat Lashley's ass? I don't know, but I know he can beat Leo Rush's ass. You know, it was like the whole thing with, like, you know, the Cornette, or the thought of Cornette with, you know, back in the day, or Paul E. Like, I can't beat Rick Rude, I can't beat Dennis Condrey, but I can beat that dude's ass. Or, you know, at least that's what they wanted to make you believe.
Right. And I
Leo fuck you up quick. He's just small.
Oh yeah. And I think another thing with like the Leo thing at the time was just like, I thought they had to play with, because like he was such a great talker, so charismatic. And he would go out there, he knew how to piss you off. Lashley. But, right. And then the thing is, like, in his matches, it would be such an easy pop for, he comes out, he cheats, you get pissed off, you go out to outside, he's so fast and quick you can't actually get your hands on him. That makes the crowd even more upset about the heat. And then eventually you get your hands on this fucking fly and swat him out the air, and the crowd pops. And then, you know, WWE language, obviously that means Lashley comes and spears you and then beats you, but whatever else. So like, you got that payoff of that, or that catharsis of this annoying fuck just got smashed, and it was awesome. And then they took him off TV, and now, you know, he's in the 205 Live, or not in 205, or he is in 205 Live and on NXT, and he's having matches that, like, Lashley never has, but whatever, like.
And he's not happy again, it doesn't seem like.
And he's disappearing and putting, like, messages from the Notes app up on Twitter again.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, if you were that talented, like, think about it. Like, I've said this before to you, Rich, like, he's Black Mysterio. Like, the dude's fucking incredible. Like, if I were him, remember, like, I think the deal was, it was $300,000 allegedly was a deal that they offered him, and he turned it down.
I would have turned it down too.
Right. If you're that kind of talent, you're like, can you imagine him in AEW wrestling Pac or Phoenix? Jesus Christ. Like, yeah, I would turn that down too, and I would be malcontent because I realize how good I am.
I hope Leo Rush gets free one day.
I hope he does too, but I hope he's ready when he does. And that's the thing, is just, you know, you got a rep behind you too, whether it's deserved or not, whether whether it's even true or not, doesn't matter. You got some people that look at you with a little side eye, like, you going to be here for the long run? Like, when things get rough, like, everybody can quit. You know, everybody wants to bring their family with them. Everybody wants to do this and that, but like, when things are hard, you're going to hang in there. And the reason I don't bang on him at all is because of the environment that he's in and the fact that he is young, and I know where he comes from. I know people from there. So it's like, he's looking at things with a different perspective than I think. And I think in general, people don't give dudes like Leo Rush, they don't look at things from their perspective or the possibility of their perspective. But I don't know also what dude's got floating on in his mind, you know, as far as pressure he puts on himself or any limitations that he may have that way, you know, emotionally or any of that sort of stuff. So it's like, I hope when it does happen, I hope he's ready. I hope he's in that good place, and I hope he's where he needs to be, because he is that dude, and he would be in that promotion with, man, you see him as a babyface teaming with Darby against two dudes. Can you see him with Sammy just being the slimiest thin boy tag team you've ever seen in your life? You know, I mean, you put him in positions of, like, because he can just go and he can just do amazing things. I mean, you put him under a mask and you make him Black Mysterio, or you give him something where at some point he's going to come out of that mask, obviously, but like, you bring him in as like, yo, who is this dude? You know what I mean? And I bet you get over like $1 zillion. I mean, the opposite of what he would be, the superhero that WWE thinks that they can make with Ricochet, or think that they have with him. You know, they would actually make with a Leo Rush. So it's like, the sky is I don't want to say is the limit with him, because I think there is a limit on him, but boy, the height limit is there.
Right.
Now, as far as the width of what he can do with his career and how wide he can make his bank account doing it, that's a little bit of a different story.
Yeah, like, I think he's somebody that can come out there and on either side, heel or face, from what I've seen of him enough in the work he has. Like, he's somebody that you put on the card and he's a utility guy, and you can beat him because of his size, and then he can get a couple wins, as a babyface against somebody that of some type of caliber to set up a championship match where you eventually lose. Like, there's no reason why you couldn't have gotten that Darby spot from in November against Jericho, or I don't know, beat somebody and get a match against, I don't know. I'm trying to think of some of these other recent Scorpio Sky. Like, he could be somebody in that spot where it's utility player up and down the card in trios doing whatever else because of that level of talent. And it makes me think of a lot of these people in these situations, especially him because of his mouth. It makes me think of all right, it's one day we'll see and he'll show improve, and I hope he hits the ground like Moxley did.
Yeah.
By the way, Scorpio Sky is a reminder of what happened to his singles push, and that's another thing that I think AEW, again, it's what some of their fan base. I don't know if I have to tell you. I've heard other people point this out. A lot
Where
of people
are the black people?
Have their own opinions on how they decide to push brown people and how they feature them on posters, and what one word was said, early on about how we're going to feature these and market people and put them in creative positions and all this sort of stuff. And at some point, and again, they made a lot of grandiose claims that I think people, if you looked at logically, the Mid-South fans going to love, man, you can't hire Sonny Kiss, the Young Bucks, this, that, and the third, and go, well, that old Mid-South fan is going to come running back. You know what I'm saying? It's so you had to take it with some grains of salt, but you understood, if you read between the lines, kind of what they were going to do.
Right.
But one of the things they did talk about was the level of diversity, and they initially started with some hits, and they made it look good on the surface of, again, bringing in Nyla Rose, bringing in Sonny Kiss. We're going to feature Scorpio Sky. We're going to do Private Party. But
it's there.
Okay.
I believe it's there in their women's divisions, in their tag divisions, but their singles men's divisions, nah. It's real alabaster.
Yeah, and again, historically, this isn't even my fight to fight. I don't have to because everybody else is going to do it. It's historically, we know what this is. Whether you want to say it or not, it's going to be, even if you don't mean it to be. There's going to be people look from the outside and go, you can say what you want, but if there's nobody there, you can say it's all honest, and Cody is the bigger star, and this is this, and this is this. But okay, well, who's the Hangman that's not Hangman? Who else are you building up here? Where else are you going to scout people? Where are you? Why is Willie Mack not signed?
Pissed me off. I was you were fucking this dude for months on Twitter, and nothing. I'm all right.
Why was Eddie Kingston? Why was Eddie Kingston not signed from Jump Street? Nobody can tell me why. He shouldn't be on the NWA, and that's no offense, but even if he's not a long-term guy, that mouth and the fact that he's worked with all of these people, whether it be Chikar or something, it's that's just one of those. He's just one example of dudes where it's and again, maybe they did offer him, something, and he didn't take the bag or whatever, but it's I don't think that you did, and I'm not bashing your commitment, but I do have a right as a fan that's watched for a long time to have some cynicism.
Yeah, that's where I sit the whole time watching it. I'm okay, you have Sonny Kiss, Scorpio Sky, as far as black wrestlers or black male wrestlers, and it's okay, I don't have these worries about your women's division. I don't have these worries about your tag division. With Private Party and the Lucha Bros and SCU, I don't really have those sorts of concerns. And then you bring in whatever A or triple A wrestlers you guys have from time to time. I think they need to bring in more, but it is what it is. But when you see, you just look at all right, what's the top six in the men's division or whatever else, or you look at their those standings or rankings that they put out weekly, and it's yeah, all I see is white people. All I see is white men. Like this looks really this looks like a real like forum for like Eminem is greatest rapper of all time thing right now. Like just all these pictures, like okay, all right. Like and don't get me wrong, like most of them are doing great work, so I'm not knocking at it, but it's like there are so many talented wrestlers that aren't just white men in this world. I watch them on all these different places. Like, can you just trip over one on accident?
I say this is sports, right? This is a simulation of sport still to AEW. That's how they're playing themselves as different than WWE.
Yeah,
great. Let's look at sports. That's not hockey. So now, if you want to be hockey, you can put a ceiling on yourself. That's understandable. But from there, let's take a look. Baseball with how many? Forget about black people. That's a brown man sport. You know, how many Dominicans, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, like, have you reached out to, you're in Florida? You know, you got a market for anybody besides Phoenix and Pentagon? Like, you know, again, and then you look at every other sport and it's like, where is the representation here? It's not even close to being equal. And there are people out there that you could sign. You're signing people on levels. I mean, look, you've signed Swole, you know, with her experience level, like, AR Fox is, I guess, linked in with Evolve, so you can't.
Yeah.
But again,
there's a whole pipeline.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's great examples out there, though, of like a zillion people you could, in theory, bring in if you wanted, and at some point, you got to make the decision on what you want to be to all of your base. WWE has ignored theirs, and they pay for that, and they're going to pay for it more and more as time goes on, too. It's just you can't shit on a base for as long as you have. Without at some point something's going to give.
Yeah, like I think me and
that's what I was saying. Like, okay,
yeah, like me and Rich were talking about this at some point earlier in the year. I said probably at the beginning, like the first few pay-per-views for AEW, and you listen to like, all right, look at Lucha Bros come out, look at Private Party come out, Scorpio Sky, and look at Nyla Rose, look at the Joshis, and then you would see like they would come out and you would hear the soundtracks to these shows or whatever. So like it's hip hop influence or whatever else, and it's like okay, like they're going towards a younger generation / like they realize like you look at the streaming charts and you see what's actually people are actually listening to, and then you go back and you watch NXT or WWE, and it's like. SmackDown's music is like some fucking knockoff AC/DC shit, right? And then you look at NXT and it's like, oh, Slipknot. Like, look, I like Triple H's taste in metal, but bro, like, how much metal are you gonna put on all these takeover soundtracks?
I remember being in the crowd at Fyter Fest, and it was just like during every intermission, it was like they was playing something that was hard. I don't remember like what they were playing, but it was just like the theme song for it, and it was like, oh, okay, I like how they're rapping this.
And it's like you kind of get a feeling of like, for me anyways, like okay, some of these aesthetic choices are on point. Like there's some putting of your money where your mouth is in that situation, as opposed to like WWE is like, yeah, they'll hire up a bunch of us, but
won't do shit with them.
Right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, they hired Dasha. But okay, so you have a woman of, I guess it would be either Spanish or Latino descent that is doing your best. But where else are your announcers? Where's your media people? Where's anybody? And again, it's not just on the screen. It's where's anybody behind it? And I, again, this is not to. I don't know what everybody's background is. I don't. I think Alex Marvez is Cuban. If I remember right, I'm trying to remember. But it's like I don't know anybody's real background or anything. But with that said, like the diversity's got to be also more than just in the ring too, because then that's what starts. That's why the Rooney Rule was really put into effect. And granted, it's been bastardized and everything, but it's like the idea was you had to see these people, and maybe like. Somebody signs them on as an assistant, and maybe that person makes it to be a coach, and then that coach brings in other people. And like the problem obviously was this was supposed to move up the chain and get into front office, but again, that type of stuff a domino's always got to drop, and it either gets pushed over or you knock it over yourself. And they should be knocking it over themselves again, because once you start bringing in other people with other ideas who look at things differently, they help to look at you, help you look at things differently. So they've got to start doing some of that. I feel, of course, now me talking about this, it's like everybody saw the Eddie Murphy Saturday Night Live, I'm sure, when all right, Chris, let me just piggyback on what he said. But it's like, that's what I feel like. But it's like you look again, I don't know. I guess everybody comes from somewhere different. And I've always looked at WWE and how they have treated their black fan base and their basically really the Mexican fan base more than anything.
February was a bad month.
Yeah, it's like
bro, black people went over everything in WWE in February.
And Bianca lost, Street Profits lost their match on pay-per-view. Naomi was in a title match, she lost.
It's hard to tell this to the mainstream wrestling media and the people in the general, where it's like, because Bruce Mitchell takes a lot of hits for it, because
he be kicking that real.
He will at least say it, yeah, and regardless of what you might think of him, or might think of what he's saying, or he's being the one that says it, it's like he's speaking truth, because there are people who believe this, whether you believe it or not, does not invalidate their opinions. And in fact, history is on these people's side, because if you were treated and your characters were treated in the same way that these people have, who have real life every day, got to deal with this shit, so they can't even escape into their escapism, because then they're locked down there too and get slapped in the face or spit in the face. I'm sorry. This shit's got an effect. And it does not breed, if nothing else, it's not going to breed any confidence in you, and it doesn't breed any want for me to separate myself from dollars, because when you come with your hand out to me, I'm going to ask you why. Who looks like me? What looks like me? What sounds like me? That's been one of my things with AEWs. You got Griselda in the front row every single show.
Yeah.
Maybe you ought to utilize them for music, because some of your music besides Jericho sucks.
Oh, yes.
You got MJF, but I'm sorry. It's sorry. It is. And it's just like, utilize this more. Give me something, and I get it. You don't, look, Tony Khan's got all the money in the world. You can get somebody to do something original. You know what I mean? Like, somebody can make some beats. If Jim Johnson could come up with like he came up with Steve Blackman's, and if you can't even come up with that, come on, somebody get some flavor in here somewhere.
Yeah, I don't even know where to take this from here, but yeah, I agree with, I 100% agree. Just, especially the part about most of AEW's music being trash. Is it just like a thing? Is it just like a thing where Wrestling on Turner just has to have bad music in general? Is that like a thing?
I don't know. I think I disagree with the overall trashing of the AEW music, because
I think we're at a spot. I think we're at a place now where most WWE too, most of their music, ever since we got that Nakamura, it's been kind of
garbage.
Yeah.
Because Sammy Guevara's music is super hard. The Lucha Bros music is hard. The new Lucha Bros music is hard.
Okay, do me a favor. Pull up the lyrics of Sammy Guevara's song. He's rapping about Sammy Guevara as Sammy Guevara comes out. That's too on the nose.
What's the big deal? Oh, huh? Okay. Darby Allin's music is hard.
That's
Hangman's music is hard. I don't know.
That's grandfathered in. That's not AEW's actual
exactly. Music. Yeah, I'll give you Hangman. I'll give you Darby. I'll give you MJF. I'll give you Jericho.
Hard. Carl Sheetas is hard. Rios is not good.
Okay, Rios is Rios from forever ago. That's hers from Gato Move / Tokyo Joshi Pro. Same thing with Yuka Sakazaki. How they changed her music and brought it back. Trying to think. Nyla Rose's music takes forever to get into. Hikaru Shida's music takes forever to get into. I'm trying to think who else. Kenny. I like Kenny's. The Young Bucks is the Young Bucks. Has always been the Young Bucks. Jurassic Express. I think a lot of it also comes down to I don't know when this changed or whatever else, but these songs don't have people singing or rapping on them too. So I also think it just feels okay, so this is just some generic shit.
Moxley's is hard.
Huh?
Moxley's is hard.
Yeah, but Mox is also like a really deep play on like his Ambrose stuff too, with the rev up at the beginning too. So like I also it's not as I prefer the in the New Japan Moxley music too.
So I had like 6 of them. There's like, again, 72 others that just no.
It's like, let's have a private party. Let's have a private party. You're right on the nose. You're going to hit you over the fucking head. You don't fucking get it. You dumb motherfucker. It's a private party. It's like, okay. Like, you may as well, you know what? If that wasn't their music, they'd probably be like, shots. Everybody.
That's clearly what they're going for.
Yes, who the hell? I forget the name of that group, but that's exactly what I think of. Is that shots thing? It's like I don't know. That's not a party I'm trying to go to, and that's not a private party either. So let's stop with that.
Yeah, was it an LMFAO? Right? That's what that was.
Yeah, I was about to say 303, but it was just whatever new version of it was.
303. Yo, you brought me back. Yes, that was like the old Dr. Luke stuff before like he got himself in trouble. Oh man. I mean, we just banged on AEW's music. Rich defended it. I don't know where else to go. Well, I mean,
Proud Powerful's music is hard too.
It's cool. I don't love it. It's
That's
cool.
the thing. Yeah, I don't know.
Like there are very few that I like. I guess that's really more the main thing for me. And like a lot of them are just like either too on the nose or just like, oh, there's no music. Like I like Lucha Bros a lot. I like, you know what I do like? The new one with Death Triangle. I love that music. So like not all of these are misses, but I feel like just in general the whole
I think it's overblown. Like on
I didn't know this was a thing online.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just like my personal opinion and like, you know, but I mean,
look, Sean Spears hard.
Yeah, it's cool. It sounds like a Logic song. What was I gonna say?
You know who did it? You know who did it? The dude that works in NXT, the little dude that raps for NXT.
Oh, Josiah.
Yes, he did the. Sean
he didn't
Spears
get fired for that.
Nah, why would he get fired for that?
Why does anyone get fired from WWE for for crossing over political lines? Because they're petty. Good for him. I saw him at the Jacksonville show. The all-woman show. I saw him. He was doing ring duty or whatever else. I asked him like when he did, because that was like a couple weeks removed from when they won the Survivor Series, and they did the intro thing, and he made his own little custom song about how they beat the brakes off of the main roster. I was like, so did you record that? Did they have it? He was like, yeah, I recorded it. I don't know what they're gonna do with it, and then it's like, well. I liked it, so appreciate you.
Those be the breaks.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Like, you know, he does that Russell rap stuff, and like it's good stuff. I enjoy the stuff for, you know, obviously for the, you know, the perspective of he's trying to lay out a story or whatever else at the time. But dude's obviously talented, but what utilization they have when they got him bringing Slipknot and Poppy to play in the Io Shirai and Adam Rose, my God, Adam Cole all the time.
Ouch, Adam Rose.
Ooh. On that note.
yeah, Mike, appreciate you coming to this show.
No way, Jose, to that.
Oh man. but yeah,
I'm sorry. Here's another great example. A person of color. Just an example. Like, so he can dance. Like, I remember when they signed him. You see Valenzuela or whatever dude's name was, and it's like, it's a big motherfucker. It's like he's a big.
Oh, dude. I knew you talking about. Yeah.
He's no like way, he's got a look. It's like he's way early in the game, so that's bad. But like he's big and he's got a good look to him. He obviously can move. He's got footwork. Obviously, if he can dance his ass off. And it's like I remember sitting there looking, and it's like, I wonder if they're gonna make dude a dancer. Damned if they didn't make this dude worse than a dancer. He's the head of a conga line. Like I want to say it didn't blow me away because that's what they do, but it's like. You needed another Adam Rose. You had a cheeseburger suit that some idiot had to fit in. So it's just like, what does he do? He dances. And it's like, you can't blame Vince for this one. Like, this is a Triple H.
Triple H.
And NXT. And I know what he was probably thinking. Like, you're going to be on the main roster with this. But like, as soon as you gave him that name and that gimmick, like, You're no way Jose for the rest of your damn life. So start getting beat, and like you'll be the first to dance your ass back to catering every day. So I guess you got that going for you, but brutal.
Hey, last question, Mike. Are you the exalted one?
Can you imagine me being the exalted one for them? Can you imagine?
Hey, I'm trying to cover all bases here.
I kick Stu Grayson right in his nuts first thing. Like, if you don't have Putain, then I have no time for you Quebecers. Get out of here, both of y'all. Beat up the young boys. I'll bring in Clark Connors and Alex Coughlin to beat them up. I'll be Captain New Japan, except the good one.
So I mean, in that situation, you would then get a check from AEW, so then you can match what the internet believes of Meltzer and Alvarez. So then you'd be like, look, I'm same club. We all in the same tax bracket. Now what?
Man, if you got that, I mean, I've seen whether it be Sean Radican, Sean Ross Sapp, Alvarez, as soon as there's the one thing about, well, you're on the payroll, like on both sides, it's like, I wish I was on the payroll. I wish I was on the payroll, because believe me, this ain't cutting it. I love every Brian that I work for and everything, but like between that and shoot jobs, like, you know, I'll take a big cushy paycheck. I'll come out to your bad music. That's no problem. Like we can negotiate anything.
Come out there and lie for a check. You know, it ain't nothing. Buy us out.
Look, man, I can't wait to turn this to the Saudi Arabian Wrestling Podcast Network on behalf of WWE, and we do like, you know, whatever amount of podcasts per 2 shows per year. I can't wait.
I tell you, here's the one thing about that AEW money too, is I'd go out, I could only lie for so long before I'd have to like, I couldn't do it anymore. But then again, I've made nothing stretch, so I can imagine I just need a couple of checks to clear, and I'll probably be. I'll be lotto rich for at least a while. I got enough to buy scratch offs and do a couple 3-team parlays when sports comes back. I can make this thing work. I can do this.
Yeah, man.
All right, well,
let them know. Yeah, we appreciate you, Mike.
Doing the show again, Mike. So let them know where they can reach you. Get your plugs out.
That's probably, if you want to just punch me in the face after this, I can be booked for that too. At Sempervive on Twitter is the easiest place to get to me. SEMPERVIVE. Know your Latin. Always alive. That's what that means. I swear that's what that means, even though I don't feel like it most of the time. At Sempervive on Twitter, I do radio shows. I'm available for hire. I really am. I'm independently contracted by Brian Alvarez to do Wrestling Observer Live. I am on with him every Sunday through Thursday, Sunday 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Thursday 3 p.m. Eastern Time. He also does a show with Jim Valley on Fridays. Jim's got the show on Friday on his own. That's all part of the WrestlingObserver.com Mighty Empire / F4W Online Empire and website. So you can find out all the information there. I also, because I have to talk about so much modern wrestling, I got into my feelings bag and started to explode and needed a way I could vent and look at things in a positive fashion. I do that by crawling back to my youth, and I do a show called the Mid-Atlantic Championship Podcast, which you can find at midatlanticpod.com. It is a member of the Arcadian Vanguard network. We go back to the WWE Network and review old Mid-Atlantic Championship podcasts as they appear on the network, as well as adding some contests and some historical value to them, kind of let you know what is going on in the rest of the world at this time, why some of the things you see on TV are the way they are, and because it's the WWE Network and so many things are edited off or there's an overlay over or an overdubbing going on, we let you know what was taking place there, as well as playing promos from some of the other shows that they had going on, whether it be East Coast Wrestling, Worldwide Wrestling, or Maple Leaf Wrestling, which they still had up until 1984. So we talk about all that stuff. And from there, the Adam and Mike Big Audio Nightmare, which you can also find at the WrestlingObserver.com website. Our muse is Japanese wrestling, but we talk about a whole bunch of everything, which is going to make a lot of sense right now while there is no Japanese wrestling or nothing the hell else. So you can at least catch me there and all that sort of stuff. And that was a long plug right there, but I got shit to do and I need all the money I can get. So I got a Cash App. It's the $ Sempervive. PayPal, paypal.me / I think it's Sempervive, but that's, you just DM me on Twitter if you want to send me money. We'll figure out a way.
Yeah, man, I watched some of that Mid-Atlantic a couple months ago on a random. I love the theme music on that show. It's like dun 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 dun.
It drives me nuts because like Don Ray's Got to Have Lovin' is just it's a great theme and it's such a ridiculous theme for wrestling. But like as annoying as the overdubs are, like when you compare it to some of the other stuff, like it's obnoxious. But like Jimmy Valiant's music kind of sort of fits him, and what they use for the Mid-Atlantic show is far better than some of the music they've used for other stuff. So I won't complain too much about it.
Yeah. Yeah, JYD's overdub on the network.
That's a great example.
Yeah, speaking of the Big Audio Nightmare, like, so, like, y'all talked so much about how good Jay White is, and like, I saw it at the beginning of 2018.
You still on this? Oh, man.
I'm still on it because it's even worse.
Yeah, stomp the dome out, Mike.
Twice. What?
Maybe it's time for. Maybe next time you're on, we'll continue the conversation. Maybe we'll let this play out more and more. But I'm sorry, like
don't up the dome. Oh.
Okay, he had a great match. However, like if you think of semi-main events in recent Wrestle Kingdom history, like it wasn't.
That man had a story to tell. He had a story to tell in that match.
He always has a story to tell. When is he ever going to just wrestle and not do the bullshit? Like, like okay, I have a question. If they did a Jay White versus Cody match, does it ever end?
Man, why are you looking at it? Do a Jay White Larry Zbyszko match and ask if it ever starts.
Oh God!
I mean, look, that's the whole thing. And I love the stall. I like what I like the pieces I like the path that they're on and the pieces they're putting into place. And I've seen them lay this path out before, and in different ways with Finn, in a different way with AJ, in a different way with Kenny, and this is a different way with Jay. And Jay. The one thing they have to be careful about is pushing it to the point of apathy, but they do a very good job getting the most out of people booing the shit out of this man and wanting to punch this man in the face. And I think it helps. I really do. I don't think, they always play up the fact that people are storming out and leaving. They never are. And they're there right, and they're in rapt attention. But like how they've been able to play that up to me, I think has been good. And I think ultimately, when given a chance to either, because something's going to give with the Bullet Club, and either he's going to take it over and be the real leader of it, or he's going to split off, or something's going to give there. Because I still don't think he's had the chance to, because he hasn't. They haven't given him the staff and say, go. They put him in a tough spot with Kenny leaving, and they went ahead and they did what they did, and I don't think, a lot of people thought it devalued the belt and it was going to do this and that. And I thought like a lot of what happens with what Gato does and what New Japan does, it's overblown. It's like, let it play out first because usually it does okay. And I think even that turned out okay. And I just think when it comes time, here's the thing, when it's time to drop the bullshit and it's, you're going to go out there and not do the stall and all that sort of stuff and just left up to his own devices as a worker, he's going to score. And I think people don't like the shtick and the bullshit, but I think they'll come around to if they're not really around to the dude now, they'll come around to the dude. And I think the people that like this dude that don't like all the bullshit and hullabaloo, man, they're probably the ones that also didn't like it when he came to anybody else with the Bullet Club and just want to see this dude out there being him. And I think that's there. Whereas I think with some other people, especially like in WWE and stuff like that, when they're put in positions of being ramrodded purposely to also get a rise out of people, they'll either push back or be apathetic. I honestly think the New Japan fan base, I think when given the chance to see Jay White as Jay White, and not just a tool for Gato and not just a tool, period, I think it's actually going to come out a lot more. I don't know. Maybe I see something that's there with Jay White that other people don't. I feel that way a lot because you're not the only one. He seems to be a 60-40 prop where 60% of the people don't like his ass. 40% of us are going, you're not seeing it, and 60% are going, yeah, because he ain't there. It's just, we'll have to see the way it plays out and goes. But I think he's in a good spot, and I think they're in a good spot with him.
Yeah, I see it, right? Because like he's not a bad wrestler by any means, but So just knock off the bullshit and wrestle, or at least knock off half of the bullshit. Like, I don't need the matches filled with this. The same thing that goes with Cody. It's like, I don't need my matches filled with gaga. It's okay to do a spot here or there. I don't need it to be like literally every single, transition in a match from the first act of it to the second act of it to the conclusion. Like, just get the fuck out of your own way. Do one thing or two things and get on. Like, I just hate that stuff so much. It's like, this, obviously I'm not going to be like, this isn't wrestling, because clearly it is, but it's like, this isn't the wrestling I enjoy at all.
Like Cody, it's like so much shit is going on with Cody's match with MJF. I don't think y'all like killed it enough for the fact that like this man MJF bladed off the fact that Cody kicked him with a bootless shoe. Yeah, that was not good. That no, and you knew what I mean. I don't know. That's one of those holes, and yeah, I guess maybe should have jumped on that more. I mean, that match, I didn't even touch on when I reviewed that show on WOL. I didn't even talk about Dustin and Swagger because there was all this other stuff to talk about, like that was ended up being good. That I kind of put both of those, on the back burner. But I mean, when it fails, here's one thing: when it fails with Jay White. If it fails, there's at least a bunch of other safeguards there. Like when Cody, something's not going to hit, and when it fails, it's going to be spectacular because there are all these moving parts that, like with Brandy and DDP out there and Arn's out there, and you got people on the other side because they need to be.
Bro, they got people in Nightmare Family jackets I ain't never seen before, Mike.
Yeah, and there's an entrance going on, and here's the dog, and what is this? And like, there's so much shit where when it goes south one day, it's going to go way south, and it's going to be interesting to see how he deals with that, both creatively and both like in the media and in the press where he gets killed because it's going to happen.
That's why I want Kenny Omega far away from this man. I had to watch those two matches in 2018. I don't want any more. Keep him away from the pure main event wrestling. I'm good.
He's the daddy.
I think the best part about this is like the reason why I'm laughing so hard is because like Floyd's going to hear this and Floyd's going to be furious. Floyd is the biggest Cody fan you could imagine. Yeah, I'm gonna get shit for this. Hopefully, when you did your plugs, he presses pause on it, or he just stops the podcast, or maybe he knows like, wait, there's another like 15 minutes. What's going on? Hopefully, he just misses this part. But I'm sure he's gonna hear it, and we gonna get shit for this for like the next week. But I'm glad that it was somebody besides just us that talked about Cody in a way like of the constructive criticisms we have for Cody. Because like honestly, for me, like. My biggest gripe with AEW all of so far this entire run has been the fact that like that dude was that hot, that dude was cutting promos like that dude was going out here, and when he doesn't do bullshit in his matches, we're having these good matches consistently, and then they decide to cut him off and add on this step that added nothing to his drawing power or gait. And just made it where he can never be champion. I thought that was like the dumbest fucking thing ever. And like nobody like hates that thing as much as me. And I'm just like losing my mind. Like, wait a second, you have this top baby face, and the top baby face can never become win the top prize in the company. We've almost like, what's the point of this promotion anymore now? And like, I feel like I'm the only person that's like shouting this, because I realize like the amount of good work that Cody did, but then he also does his goofy stuff. And then like Floyd, for example, it only hears is when I like shit on Cody when he does his goofy stuff. So I just gave him a whole bunch of positivity about how much I believe in Cody, and then he's only hear about it. You're still on this thing about Cody does bullshit in his matches. So whatever, it is what it is, Floyd.
Floyd, unfold your arms right now, because I know you're sitting there mad and angry, and I know you're mad and angry probably for a lot of reasons. Why your parents named you Floyd, I don't know.
Oh, God damn it!
I don't know why, and I don't know why. Well, maybe they saw Dusty Rhodes put Baby Doll on the horse, and she ran away with him, and she ran away from him, and that was the horse's name was Floyd, and Baby Doll made him sway back.
Okay,
she was of a bigger block and kind of put it on him, and maybe that's why you're still upset, because like there was a Rhodes that shit on you, but now you see a new Rhodes that can bring you and your name up to a higher level, and I get that, but unfold them hands, pull yourself together, hold yourself, and understand that Cody is his daddy. And unlike James, I understand where he's going with this, because there's going to be a long-term story that gets built in where Cody makes the fans want to cheer his name and to hear him and go, you know what, we need to have this title match. I'm going to write into AEW. Like, I see this coming from a mile away. I know that's what they're going to do. I get that's what they're going to do fully for it. Understand it, completely get it. With that said, Cody, you're burning through a lot of things. You've got a long way to go with this, and I saw your dad do it. And I'm just saying, like at the beginning of the show, a lot of people look at Cody and go, man, what a baby face. Nah, he's every bit a heel. And I don't know how this whole thing's going to play out, but watch your formula, Cody, whether it be outside the ring, whether it be inside the ring with your moves. Like, you're getting cute because you are getting a little bit of a pass, because there's been a lot. Look, when the aesthetics are good, when some of the side and the peripheral stuff is good, it brightens the rest of the picture. It's like having it's like having a main event that doesn't really click. It's like, to me, it's like the Women's Elimination Chamber. It's like if that show was humming, people wouldn't be so upset with kind of how it ended and Shayna and the waiting time and all that, but it wasn't. So on the end, as an exclamation point on what was already a shitty show and not a show that people weren't feeling, it didn't work. And that's where Cody's got to be careful, because as the song says, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. And that's one thing that he's continued on with. So we'll see how it goes. But Floyd, don't worry. I got more confidence in Cody than James does, but understand that you might have some, hard times.
I'm not even going to do an intro out this show. Check out the shows on the rest of the network, from Keepin It Strong Style to the Ricky Clive Wrestling Podcast to Groman Watch This Shit to Get
that
in the
show's
Ring.
Still on?
Which show? Groman Watch This Shit?
Oh, man, yeah. Who's hosting that now?
Chris Bryan and Jeremy, like usual.
Oh, man. They're still around? Oh,
man. Okay, let's and also All Things Elite with Floyd, Tiffany, and Amy. So,
man, I should have waited on jumping on the show till Floyd again, man.
Yes, you should have. You should have. You should have. Yeah, like they dub All Things Elite as the podcast with a proclivity for positivity. It is rainbows and sunshine, and it's almost as if like the AEW wrestlers are their own kids, and I love it, and it's so positive. And like sometimes, like it's so positive, makes you wonder, like, damn, am I always this negative? What is wrong with me? Am I a bad person? Because like Tiffany, Floyd, and Amy are great, positive, uplifting people, and I'm just like, yeah, this is good. Yeah, this is great. Yeah, this was bad. This is okay, but like they are definitely some what do you call it?
Alan Farrell. It's like I'm sorry,
glass half full types, and I love it. And I'm glad we had that diversity on the show. But me and Rich were just like, look, man, like a lot of this stuff is goofy wrestling, and we just gonna call it goofy wrestling as it is. But
thank God you didn't tell him about the conversation at the bar after last year's Madison Square Garden show at WrestleMania. Whereas I'm trying to think of the first time, it may have been I was on the show after that, where it was like, y'all are already doing the AEW show. It's like not even a thing yet. Like, what are you like? What? Like, because y'all had to have the first one. Had to have had the first one.
You were one of the first.
I think we were probably like this, like first or second.
You're one of the first.
It's like, there's nothing to talk about yet. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh, but there was.
There was. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was wrong. So see there, Floyd. I was wrong. I'll say it. Unlike my co-host Brian Alvarez, not even the co-host. It's his damn show. We'll tell you that every time he can. Sorry, yes, sorry, self. But anyway, the money's always on time from PayPal every 20th, so I do like that. But regardless, I'll say I was wrong. He won't. I will. So I apologize for it. Y'all did have a lot to talk about. Y'all did do a good job. Don't listen to me. Go get yours.
And on that,
it's been real.
It's been real. Later.